for anybody who was interested in coming to the public review of our budget. We're now going to our regular meeting. Let's call this meeting to order at 6:02.
So making sure our audio is
Okay,
working.
6:02.
Okay.
Please, and please stand and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. Stand if you're able, you don't have to. Ready? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Ms. Letourneau, would you please call the attendance?
All right, Dr. Breckenridge Pettit,
Here.
Dr. Hill, we're still waiting. Mrs. Lundberg.
Here.
Mrs. Haskell.
Here.
Dr. Rhodes.
Here.
Ms. Schiffman. Here. And Mr. Vaughn.
Here. Okay, does anybody have any board member comments? Okay, Mel.
Yes.
Go ahead, Derek.
I do. So just want to start off thanking the staff for all the patience and understanding related to the insurance changes that the district has made for this upcoming year. There are a lot of things that go on outside of our control, and I think this was one of those situations. And in the face of what could have been very stifling budget cost increases, the district explored other options and was able to find what I would say is a pretty good alternative overall, all things considered. I think this was a huge win for the district. Two other things I wanted to mention here. First, business office did this very quickly. And the way I look at it, it's this type of dedication to financial discipline that has positioned the district to be able to support the new salary schedule that I think we're able to do now. The second thing is, this wasn't just focused about the district's finances. Aaron met individually with many employees to help them navigate these changes and find the best option for the employee and their family. And I mean, to me, that's going above and beyond. So again, thank you, district staff, for the patience. I know change can be tough and this is complicated stuff, but also thank you to the business office for all the work and extra research on top of already a busy budget cycling part of the year. Wanted to give some appreciation there.
Thanks, Derek.
Yeah. I also want to mortify Aaron by giving him a shout out. I know he loves it. I just feel like you've taken on a second full-time job by helping our staff members and their families, and that is really wonderful. And we're so fortunate to have someone with the knowledge and the willingness to do that for people. So thank you. Also thank you to our partners, Chaffey County United and the ice rink people for helping us build our vision of what we can offer our community, our children, students.
I just wanted to share some stats that we got from Rob Simpson, the dean at CMC. So he looked at the top 3 in-state schools that most of our kids go to, which is CSU, CMU, and UC Boulder. And if you take the average in-state tuition rate per credit, it's $509 per credit. And so our students this year took 2,573 credits. So if you multiply that by the $509 rate, our kids ended up taking $1.3 million in college classes for free. So that's just a huge savings to our community. So just to think about the fact that $1.3 million that all of our kids got college credits that we did not pay for. So.
They do not.
Yes,
We pay.
yes, but the families
Get it,
and
but it-
students did not pay.
Right, the individuals. I want to talk about summertime. Let's, we need to be just reminding our parents to, have as safe as they, keep their kids as safe as they can with helmets and, personal flotation devices. I have been delighted with how, our young kids have responded with, the summertime. Just a little discussion with the electric bikes and how to slow down around toddlers and dogs and old ladies. I've been delighted by how I've interfaced with that. And then also the importance, easier said than done. My kids are out of the house, but I'm limiting that screen time if you can. Limiting that screen time if you can. Good luck. Karen.
I would like to, I hadn't been to graduation in a while, since my children graduated, and I was like, I was having goosebumps. I was so impressed with our staff and our administration and the students and the winners of all those scholarships and the speakers and the parents. Like I've been, I've been to a few others since my children graduated, and it was almost embarrassing for, in my mind, for the parents and some of the staff. But this one, I don't know if they're all like that because I haven't been in a while, but I was super, super, super impressed and proud. So go Salida. Wow.
It's pretty awesome.
Yes, it was really awesome.
No. Okay, any other board member comments? Tiffany, do you want to say anything?
I thought both graduations were really amazing. I went to the Horizon Academy graduation. It was so inspirational. So really great job, Horizon Academy. Of course, I thought the Salida High School graduation was great. So really great job to all the faculty and staff of all the schools because you all worked hard to get everybody there. So thank you.
Excellent. We've had one message to the board, Nevaeh Talley, to talk about increasing our tennis court space. And we're thinking of that and making a point. Excuse me while I'm eating. We have public comments, which is just Roz, and we're just gonna bring her into the discussion. We're kind of violating Robert's rules, but it is summer school board meetings, so I think we can do that. Okay, I need a motion to approve the agenda with the following changes.
And I think I got them all, but.
Right, okay, remove item 3. Do you guys see this?
3L. They've got a printed version.
Okay.
Yeah.
For the capital assets. And then add item about fixed assets. D, 2 little i's, add consent agenda 3 and approve application for EdFlex Title I school-wide waive for Salida Middle. And D, 3 little i's, remove consent item, approve the district liability insurance. I need a motion and then a second, then we can discuss that. Is there any other additions?
I just want to make sure there was an late addition in personnel. Todd Bright has retired. He will come back in a critical shortage, but Todd Bright High School retired today.
We've updated that on the personnel sheet.
So it's updated in your personnel sheet, just so it's not in that, but just so you're.
But it's in the consent.
Well, I'm glad you mentioned that because I definitely did not.
But was that email?
Wait, we need a motion.
Catch that email at 5.
We need a motion first. Motion. Thanks, Jen. Second. Thank you, Mandy. Discussion. So Todd Bright retired. That was a new addition on our sheet, but he's gonna come back as a teacher.
He'll come back in a critical shortage.
Okay. All right, good.
But that's the intent. It's the
Okay, so-
principal's hiring has the option. That's the intent, particularly in
Okay.
July or June.
Particularly in mid-June.
Yes.
Yes, okay. Any other discussion on this?
This liability insurance,
For the changing yeah,
changing the agenda.
right. Is everybody okay with this agenda change? I think so. And we'll
Okay.
get there in a second.
We'll find out officially. Dr. Breckenridge Pettit.
Aye.
Dr. Mrs. Lumber.
Aye.
Mrs. Pascal.
Aye.
Dr. Rhodes. Aye. Ms. Schiffman. Aye. And Mr. Vaughn.
Okay, we're moving to number 2, which is reports. We don't have a guest report, but we have guests here to help us with our young people and alcohol usage, which is down in number 4 under discussion. And I'm going to move Roz's comments from public comment to having a discussion with us. So David, we're down to your district reports. You're up.
Most of it will be the budget. We got that set up, and looking at the insurance changes, which Derek, I done a good job of just mentioning those. We were in good shape for the summer. And the part I'm excited about is in previous summers, in like the last 3 or 4, it's been like, okay, gotta go build this system. And I feel like this summer is different where I can just go, okay, I gotta go take the next step. One of the exciting parts is tomorrow I've got Savannah and Aaron will be going through our emergency operating plan, or our EOP, review in totality and get them trained up so they can be the backup kind of coordinators in terms of emergency situation, which we didn't have this year. So those are little things, just shoring in the edges, and we're getting full reviews of those. Getting to write the wellness plan so that the draft's ready. I think things are in good shape. I feel really good about you guys over the summer having all the things that you need in terms of planning priorities for next year. It's not on here, but we did wild success in terms of getting done what we thought we wanted to for priorities. We didn't get everything done, but I think even the things we get done, we definitely ripened the conversation. Technology is one that I think we did a good job. People were glossing over that we removed phones this year because the teams did it so fluidly. The parents to be congratulated, the kids. It's a major success, limiting screen time. That was in place, and then now I think also with our whole system in terms of the ones and zeros, we are set up next year to move into deeper, more robust conversations from AI and screen time. I know the board is very interested in getting through that. So those are big things. I did want to make one other comment. We've talked about it, but I didn't want to lose it. There's always a senior prank. It's not a surprise that there's a senior prank. And I think this year kind of seemed like we crossed the line and we went over that space. And so maybe I can just pause there. I don't know if anybody else want to make comments about that because I realized today we didn't put that on the agenda, that space. Mandy, did you have something to jump in?
Well, yeah, because we had talked about it and mentioned that we wanted to start prepping our students for next year and reading a public statement that pranks of that nature won't be tolerated in the future and that students will be receiving discipline. So in particular, students will not be entering buildings and trespassing after hours in our buildings. They will not be causing damage, and there will certainly be no alcohol on our premises, or there will be consequences.
Significant ones.
Significant. So we just kind of wanted to prep our students, like starting now and continuing to address that throughout the year, that when we get to a senior prank next year, it better be fun and creative and not involve damage or trespassing.
And I know that Mr. Hall will speak to what is the current junior, the rising seniors, and to parents, and make sure that message is clearly delivered in a public manner so that and you got the whole kids will be kids, but we want to make sure they're prepped that if they cross that line, there will be consequences. And so it seems like we need to reset the balance of that space. I just want to make a comment of that. And so there's no surprises if somebody makes a mistake and there are consequences. I'm sure the person who receives those consequences will not feel like they are fair if it goes to normal. And I think just ready to hold the line when it comes. So maybe it won't happen. Maybe everything will be smooth. Mr. Hall, you want to comment on that?
Just appreciate the board's support in this. This has been a challenge, since I've been here. Every year I talk to, family members, parents, and students, about you shouldn't be in the building after hours. You should not trespass. Every year since I've been here, it's been incredibly disruptive to the learning environment. Just appreciate your help and support with this. I think it takes a team of people, messaging the community that this won't be tolerated. So just really appreciate your support. I have large safety concerns about the senior prank.
Enormous.
Not only destruction of property, but kids within the building after hours unsupervised and making poor decisions. So just thank you for your support in trying to address this and move them to a more positive prank. I have a great sense of humor. And
You are right for it.
love a funny senior prank, as opposed to a destructive senior prank.
Violent destruction.
My message every year has been, come talk to me, and if it's funny, I'll help you do it.
Right.
Non-destructive,
No, sure.
right, or unsafe, so thank you.
I think it's okay for the community to be made aware that this isn't just, someone breaking in and blowing up a bunch of balloons and dropping it in the hall. It's actual damage to
Yes.
classrooms, teachers' materials, etc. So it's okay to hold a line.
Yeah, as well as violating teachers' personal spaces.
And it's a loss of learning time.
Yeah.
Right, where on Monday morning, we spent the morning
Cleaning.
cleaning up the mess as opposed to teaching and learning going on in the building.
And I will just add two other things. I want to say a big thanks to Salida Police Department. They really helped us this year, look deeper into some things and identify some areas where improvements could be made. And I appreciate just their support and the seriousness with how they handled it. And it's important that police are holding other police accountable, and so I appreciated that approach. With our emergency operating plan, we'll be scheduling all our drills, but also making sure that all the extra little things like tabletop exercises, those are things. And I just want to also name there's rumors that there was alcohol, and investigated everything, but I think it's important to name that that's part of our conversation later tonight. We keep seeing a trend that we're, as adults, not communicating with enough clarity to our kids, the seriousness of it. They're taking however we are communicating it and keeping it a little too light. And so we think we need to reset. And that's all part of this conversation of kind of a reset. I wanted to read on a positive note. And Seitzma is our new elementary principal. Got a chance to sit a couple hours with her in training. And then she's been focused with the Longfellow staff. And this is the text that I got yesterday from Ann. Gotta say, it's not every place and every day that an exiting leader would treat the entering leader with such kindness and care. My time with Corey was great today. He's making efforts to set me up for success, and I'm very grateful. And I just appreciate that's how we operate and transition, that we continue to support. I'm excited to see that transition, though, working very hard to make sure none of the balls are dropped or anything else. So a lot of the capital projects are in motion. We have had power outages at Longfellow. I don't know if you've tracked it all over the last few years. Brownouts, they're on a different leg of
Okay.
cell energy, but we also identified the master switch where everything comes through has actually been failing. And so we had to replace that this week. It was a major cost, but it was also a major issue around safety and making all system work. They're almost done with all the lighting changes, so all the LEDs at Longfellow. We'll be moving over, finishing that up this week. Next week, they'll be at the high school gyms. And then they'll come back and finish up Longfellow, and then they're over to middle school and see how far they can get through middle school. So that project's going great. And I thought Sean's report did a good job of just mentioning a lot of the other projects. They're moving forward. The electric bus, which is a major project for us. It's going well at the bus barn. On the bus, we did have to lose not a bus driver, but somebody who was a bus driver previously, and just appreciate how close her staff is. I know Evelyn had mentioned that
You're hard.
in her report in that sense. So things are in good shape as we go into the summer. There's still stuff. There's still little pieces of hiring that people are trying edges or changes that we didn't expect that are happening. And so staff and principals are trying to navigate through that. And then I'm very excited about Savannah and the work she's getting with our team leads and our academic council and getting ready for next year's professional development. Is there anything you want to add at all to that?
We didn't have a guaranteed person for our MLL teacher position, and we have hired someone, they've accepted the offer. And so we do have another teacher, which is good.
Excellent. Congratulations.
What position is that, Sarah?
It was an MLL coordinator position that we moved to an MLL teacher position, so ELL, MLL, language learners.
Okay. Right.
In addition, so you've got Savannah and Aaron working on the security kind of emergency operations side, picking that up and increasing their capacity there. And then the big thing is Savannah and Michelle are working on our evaluation system of certified staff for teachers. Been a major overhaul of that. Very excited about getting to focus more on pedagogy at another level. So when we come back at the end of the summer, they'll be bringing that back to administration. We'll be bringing it back to you guys as a board as well. If there's any changes, or some of it will just be clarification and making things sure everyone knows what to be expected of them, and make sure the systems are running well. But if there are major changes, we'll be bringing them to you guys in the fall. But that's exciting work because that means we're really focused in on quality, not just trying to make sure the wheels in the bus aren't falling off.
All right.
So, anything else?
Yeah, I have a couple things. First, tea leaf reading from the state. Do you expect a BS factor? Do you expect, what do you expect? What's the talk on the street in Denver?
I mean, we got the newest runs and they've changed it multiple times recently, but they're back to the original expected amount that we had. So I have not heard anything about a BS factor yet, and they're closing session relatively soon.
It's closed.
Okay, yeah, I
Yeah.
haven't heard anything at all.
Okay, so
So no.
okay, so
no-
far so good.
There was a slight change to UPK average funding, but it's the same for us next year. They didn't increase it for us next year.
I think we had $8,000 more.
Yeah,
It's pretty much the same.
pretty much the same.
Same
That's a
thing,
lot.
title, you do have.
Half gallons of milk.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You do have a, just really a bureaucratic thing, we need to approve the application for the flex title school-wide waiver. Anything you need to add about that, Savannah, or?
No, I don't think so.
So it's just necessary. Another thing that Savannah's been training on and learning on is how to do that ESEA or title fund grant for Federal. And so that's all coming in place. Is there anything around the district liability insurance you want to mention, Aaron?
Yeah, I mean, this has been something that we've been trying to figure out for the past few months because me and Kim did a pretty deep dive even yesterday to try to figure it out, because it's on our board monitoring document that that you approve liability insurance, and I told both Kim and David, like, I know you keep asking me for something, but I don't know that we've ever done anything. So I've been trying to figure it out. That came on the board monitoring document a year before I got here, and in that year, we didn't actually approve anything. I've spoken to the auditors. The auditor's comfortable with it being just part of the budget. You're approving it in the budget. So for this year, we're not gonna do it. However, I did call our new broker at USI. Sebastian is his name. Olivia runs the health insurance. Sebastian runs
Okay.
the liability. And he actually, they're ahead of schedule with what we were getting from IMA. We typically, the past 2 years with IMA, we weren't getting our renewal until mid to late June. Which we renew July 1. So that's one of the reasons I was like, I don't understand. We've never got this in time to get it to a board meeting.
Yeah. And we don't have any record that it was ever
Yeah,
done
But-
anything in the last at least 3 years.
but the auditor's comfortable with it, and he said, I would recommend that you do it, but next year I'll have it to you in May. So this year we changed brokers and we changed it in March. And so they're a little delayed, but he said, you should never get this later than May from me, and so you should always have it.
Have time to
in the-
discuss
On the
it.
June meeting, and he said, you don't have to, it's in the budget, but at the same time, it's something that the board should look at and at least review it and be comfortable with. However, he sent me an update today and said he's still expecting $27,000, obviously, from where we were, so. Still on target, no. So we're still on target for where we expect.
Anything you want to add about the fixed assets, Aaron?
I did have something. No, the fixed asset thing, me and David went through this a lot. The auditors, again, it's always been a procedure, so the thing that you, policy DID-R has always been a procedure, it hasn't been in our policy book. The auditor last year recommended we increase that to 10,000 for this year going forward, and so I've been monitoring that. They actually, the federal level just changed that to $10,000 being kind of the new GASB approved metric. So we were changing it, and as we looked at it closer, me and David said, it's really, mostly David said, this really could be a policy. There's no reason not to have it as a regulation policy that at least has been tracked consistently. So, I mean, all you're changing in that policy, in that procedure, is you're making it a policy, which we were following out the policy anyways, and the bottom went from 5,000 to 10,000 on what we actually create as a fixed asset and then depreciate over time. So it's more of a reporting thing and an auditing thing. It's gonna make my life better because even 5,000 was a great step up many years ago, because we used to capitalize everything, including we have some old volleyballs on our capital asset list. Just need to come off of there at some point, but they're still being appreciated. So we're working through, but the policy has changed and we're making it even better.
I just want to,
A second
Yeah.
question. And my second question is mostly just pointing out to board members, you can see all the policy work that David has been doing. But the important policies on the library is we have some disagreement with staff and the school board and then the district council. And so that's a good time to put this in here. How I want to frame this is thank you to our librarians for being interested in this and also protecting it. It's a delicate crossroads for minors, students, parents, access, librarians wanting to expose and delight in reading, and then what our roles and responsibilities are, particularly going through with our attorney, who's a lot more cautious maybe than our librarians. So,
let me
David, go
go
ahead.
over
Yeah.
kind of our legal, Roz and the team, they pushed back until we really did a deep dive with their librarian and did not take the standard answer. You've got two different types of materials, right? You've got curriculum materials, classroom materials, and you have library materials. So in two different buckets. They were kind of all kept together. So if you had a complaint about a resource, you kind of got mixed up in First Amendment rights, library versus curriculum. Those are different aspects that you need to think through. So I think they rightly separated them, but we paused and really did a deep dive, and our lawyer feels very strongly about this, so I have to stand with our lawyer's recommendation, and it makes sense. So let me give that to you. basically, if we talk about a curriculum, so classroom material, the boards chooses the curriculum and approves that resource. And if a parent wants to say, hey, I don't want my kid to have that resource, then that's a parent right in that sense. And so they can do that. Think of like comprehensive health and the opt-out around sex ed kind of concept would be a very easy one to imagine. If a parent on curriculum says, hey, you're reading this book and I don't want any kid to read that book in English class, then there's a complaint system. That's KEC to go through that space. And then who is that final arbitrator or appeal system is the board. It's not written that you have to do every single appeal of every single book that somebody's rankled about, but it means that you can. And I think that that is an important thing, and I agree with our lawyer that you should maintain that and you should not fully advocate that, but you have the choice, right? You don't have to engage into it. You could delegate it to me and take care of that and move on. But in some instances, if the community's having cultural wars and there's an interpretation around that, that's what you're elected for, right? So I think it makes sense to hold that space and not give that up. And I think Rob will let her talk, but I think she can see that and not a hill she wants to die on. Library resource selection then to apply that into libraries. If a parent says, I don't want my individual kid to access that resource, that's their parent right. If they want to say, I want that book out of the library, then that has to go through the complaint system, which you would end up being the final appeal if you would so desire to get that up. Okay. And so then the harder part for staff, and I'm gonna let Roz speak as well to this, but just to try to make sure I've heard right, is if you're at the middle school and mom says, I don't want them to have that one book, and they go figure out how to get that one book, which middle schoolers will always figure out how to get that one book. Is it the staff's problem to go make that happen and chase that down? And the answer is no. The policy reads with a lot of work with them, suggested, recommended, versus say, you must, you shall. Because it's not the staff's job to jump to the extreme when a parent wants it, but we do need to sit down when a parent is concerned about their kid and what they might be accessing. They do have that right. You cannot cancel it away, but they don't have the right to take the whole community down their personal view, and it's not staff's job to chase them no matter what they say and think. In the middle ground is where our administrators need to sit down with that family on the one-on-one student level and say, hey, how can we make this work? How can we figure it out? How can we support your desires as a parent in managing your kids' access to materials? So that's kind of where it's at. If you would say, hey, we want to ban this book, it's the old school term, that's when First Amendment rights come in, particularly inside of the library access. And then you guys, it became contentious. That's why we would go to our lawyers and go to case law and precedent around title, around the First Amendment. And that's what we would have to make our decision on, not whether or not you guys like the author or anything else. You have to make your decision based on what does the law say, and then look at our lawyers. So that's kind of the position, the recommendation. And Roz doesn't totally agree. So Roz, good time to let her.
I think, right, you let us know, push back as you need, but we have to kind of vote with what our attorney says, but you need a voice.
Thank you guys so much for taking the time to work with me. I know I'm kind of green in the school arena. This guy's been very patient working with me, and I really thank you guys because I have so many questions and it can get a little much. So essentially, my issue with the current section we're discussing is in KEC. And as we're talking about, it talks about parental rights when it comes to curriculum and instructional materials and library resources. Now, I didn't know, but my understanding is that because parents have the freedom to restrict curriculum and instructional materials for their students, they do not necessarily have the same right when it comes to library resources. My understanding is that because extra rights have been given to parents regarding curriculum, rights regarding library resources have been asserted as being a little more,
Generous
generous.
on the students. Yeah.
Thank you. And so I have a few concerns. Students do have a First Amendment right to access information. I keep running into case law and different court opinions, different court decisions talk about how when it comes to library resources, students do have a right to access them. For instance, and I'm just gonna say this very short. So, for instance, if a family wanted to basically wanted to make a policy that you need to opt in for students to access young adult literature. For instance, in the middle school, let's say that I put stickers on all my books that basically say young adult, and we determine that they're for older students. Technically, the district court held that the removal from general circulation and requirement of a parental signature was an unconstitutional infringement, sorry, of students' First Amendment right to access material from the school library. Now, it's specifically talking about signature. It's specifically talking about books removed from general circulation. However, it comes down to a parent has chosen that they do not want their child specifically to access these materials, and the court decided in 2003, Counts versus Cedarville School District 2003, that was not legal because students in the library have extra rights when it comes to accessing resources. Also, I have concerns about the wording of the policy. I think it's really wonderful that we want to encourage discussion and collaboration with our community, and especially with parents, because, you know, sometimes kids are going through changes and it's delicate, and parents have a right to feel concerned and to really want their child's welfare to be taken into account as individuals. And I think that's really wonderful. I'm a little worried that the policy, the way it is worded now, has wonderful, flexible language, but it's gonna muddy the waters. Sure, we don't have to do what they recommend, but is that just going to cause frustration because parents they have an expectation of what we should do or to what level we should accommodate them?
I see, now I understand where your concern is. Okay, now I get it.
And not to mention, I won't lie, guys, there's a lot of logistical issues when it comes to keeping books from children, or even, like, let's pretend that a parent wants to keep their child from accessing pro-Christian books. We do not have to follow that with them. You know, flexible language might just create resentment. If we do try to accommodate that, trying to go through every book and find them, it's going to be a lot of work. If that is work that we want to put on the table, I would like to know what kind of assistance I will receive, like
Additional
concrete,
support.
because I would love to have, like, who is going to help me, when, and such. So I think how it's worded currently is not the best. I personally would like curriculum to have its own section, library resource policy to be like underneath it saying, we will work with you informally. But library resources are different than curriculum, and there are different expectations for those two paragraphs. I have papers if you ever feel like asking me. They're like, you know, stapled and highlighted and stuff.
And then you know. Well,
Now,
what I want to say is, thank you for having a relationship with the administration and the board. Next year's election, it's congressional, it's an off, but it's an even, so it's congressional, it's not. So it's going to be a big year. And so sometimes those issues come to light during big elections. And so we're ready and we're thankful. It's particularly all three of you together are a nice team. Thanks for letting us know. I'm sorry we couldn't accommodate you more. Any other comments for Roz on that was the sticky policy one where the staff didn't really agree with us.
I mean, I guess I'm just curious how often this has come up.
Yeah, that's the question I had too.
It has not come up often, other than some of that informal conversation. It comes up like particularly at the middle school, maybe once or twice a year. Nothing where we've had to go through the entire collection and suss out a certain topic or something of that nature.
So has this approach with the flexible language of the media specialist or teacher administrator talks to the parents, has that been effective at resolving the concern?
From Michelle's point of view and Jesse's point of view, no one's had any problems where it couldn't be resolved. but I'm also not in the chair that Ross is in, so I don't know if you wanna.
I liked when you taught me how to, like you put some more particularly perhaps controversial books in a little more secluded place. And how you, or how do you say that? Not secluded, but
So, to be honest, I made the decision that books either belong in my library or they don't.
Mm.
I have a section that I made specifically for teachers. In the past, there were books that were for, probably you say for 13 to 14-year-olds in a specific section.
okay,
I decided what I would do, is I would mark those books as young adult. I put them out.
in the regular Dewey Decimal?
Yeah, I went through them, and if I thought any of them were too much, I was like, we're just going to the high school.
Okay,
Okay.
But I went through and I was like, okay, these books have a sticker I can see. If a child wants to check it out, I can have a discussion with them about what kinds of, like, it's more of hurt. Are you ready? Are you ready to handle that? And therefore, I thought it was better to have a discussion with kids. And again, any books that I found, like, yeah, you shouldn't be. I just decided it was better to give them to the high school.
okay. And those conversations worked?
Luckily they haven't come up yet.
Okay, so she's ready, okay.
Because we did have something, was that a couple of years ago, where I don't know, we read a bunch of the books that were kind of shown as being
Oh, we tried to read the
controversial.
whole list of banned books.
Yes.
Full task.
Yeah.
Yeah. And some of them you could see why a parent of a fifth grader might reasonably have some concerns. Not that I think
Yeah.
we're in a position to stop access because we also have a library and computers and cell phones, so.
Does that answer your question there, Amy?
So the,
No, go ahead.
so the main concern is the the KEC, not the IJL.
Exactly.
And your lawyer was
Yeah.
very, very clear. She feels very strongly that you should have one complaint process. And not have different complaint processes, but agrees with separating out those two different buckets of resources, one library and one curriculum. So one way for a parent to complain about a resource that affects all kids and to say, school board, you should remove that resource from all kids.
So the KEC is the broad complaint process for both things.
And Ross, your concern is that it is clumped together and you would like the same process, but just for library resources and curriculum. Am I hearing that right?
I suppose so. I think there's a very specific clause that talks about the parent right to restrict access to curriculum materials and library resources. Or if that's separated out if possible. I understand if they need to be handled the same. You know, we hope for informal communication, we hope for discussion and collaboration. But because the rights regarding parental control over curriculum
They're greater.
is
Yeah.
different than access to library materials, I don't want parents to become frustrated or potentially resent us for not meeting them where they want us to when it comes to library resources.
Okay.
And my understanding is we cannot meet them the same way that we were regarding curriculum and instructional materials. Apparently, libraries and library resources in schools are considered different.
I'm a little more protections, okay. Okay, if it happens in the next several years, would you come tell us about it? How
Yeah,
it went? Okay.
and I will say, like,
Or and the other ones too, at Longfellow and.
yeah, I of course hope that my fears are unfounded. I'm just a fan of like keeping the genie in rather than getting the genie back in.
100%.
And now I feel very strongly about student access to library materials. And I found conflicting information and I did my best to research about the rights when it comes to library resources and how students have more rights to those than they do to accessing instruction materials.
Okay, now I understand. It's much easier verbally than
Yes.
emails. Thank you. No, sorry. No, thank you for caring that.
Thank you for educating us
Commitment,
about it.
yeah,
too.
exactly. I understand it a little.
Roz is
bit.
also part of our collaborative bargaining team, does a great job representing staff and looking at policies from that perspective as well. Was there any other policies just with consent coming up that was a big, staff route? Aaron gets anxious because then I can deal with the other things.
Right. You're the butt end, because other things. All right. Yeah.
You got a lot done?
you're finished, can we go ahead and move to consent agenda? Unless-
One other comment then, and I'll-
Okay, then, yeah, before we
Mayor
go.
Report. This is the graduating class of 2026 in regards to just SHS. Over 85% took at least one concurrent enrollment class or dual enrollment class of the graduating class. 66% of the students earned 12 or more college credits. 42% of students earned an industry recognized certificate. 62% of students completed a workplace experience for high school credit. 84 of the students met at least one of the big three goals, that big change in the legislation, work-based learning credits, and industry certificates. 84% met at least one, and 21% met all three. In total, we already mentioned $1.3 million worth of tuition for 2,573 college credits. So it was a good year.
Can you say the one again about industry certificates? Say that.
Industry certificates, 42% earned an industry recognized certificate.
And what could that be?
Woofer, so Wilderness First Aid Responder. A lot of our CNAs.
Teenage, got it.
The nurse assistants, those would be a lot of those kiddos in there. And then you're gonna have people in the auto shop, you're gonna have people in the wood shop, working on those trade certifications. Is there any big ones?
Those are the big ones.
Okay.
Well, and can I actually just share a little story? So we were just at orientation in Utah and Nora got her CNA here and was talking to friends who'd gotten their CNA from big metro schools, Jefferson County schools. And they had to go from Evergreen to to Castle Rock to take all their CNA classes. And then they had to go all the way to Pueblo to do all their skills testing where they sat all day waiting for their opportunity. And our kids went on Fridays to Kesner and then did their skills testing at Kesner and were in and out in 30 minutes.
Wow.
So I just think it's kind of crazy, like here in our little mountain town, our kids actually, and also a lot of those kids didn't have concurrent enrollment credits. They said it's not an option at their big Jefferson County high schools.
Wow.
So I just think it's kind of cool that our kids have so many more opportunities being up here than they would down there.
Look at that.
Just think, I went in there because I think sometimes at the end of the year we feel exhausted and forget to look back. We got rid of cell phones.
42% have
We made their gains and all of our big dreams. So I'm excited about next year, whatever priorities we set, we can tackle.
Neat.
Henry has two, I think. OSHA counts as one too, right?
Yep, that'd be good.
OSHA and Woofer.
And woofer, yeah. Okay, back pocket. Let's see where it takes them. All right, I'm gonna go to 3 on the agenda and I need a motion to approve the following consent agenda items.
So moved.
Thanks, Jen. Second.
Hold on.
So, hold on.
Hold on, I have to scroll down to the bottom of the list. A lot.
Okay, Jen made a motion.
Jen made a motion, I got Mandy on a second.
Mandy on a second.
Thank you.
And then, okay, do we have any discussion on any of these or anything? This is just your regular consent.
I mean, just great job again to David. That was a lot of policies that we had to go through and update and repeal and change. And I mean, I think in particular, the homeschool policy is really excellent to have outlined a little more what will happen if you're a homeschool student and want to take credits at the school and have more boundaries around that.
Yeah.
So, yeah, David did a lot of work that first week of school being done.
Right, right. Imagine. Okay, I think we're ready for a vote.
All right, Dr. Breckenridge Pettit.
Aye.
And Mrs. Lumberg. Aye. Mrs. Haskell.
Aye.
Dr. Rhodes.
Aye.
Ms. Schiffman.
Aye.
And Mr. Vaughn.
Okay, so that passes. Okay, we're heading into discussion items now, and the first one is teen alcohol use, and thanks guys for coming in, but David, why don't you kick it off, or Mandy, would you rather frame it? This is a discussion.
Why don't you start? It's your meeting.
Okay, so I asked David and Jody if we could add this to the agenda this month, because it's very fresh, I think, for our community right now, coming off of graduation season. And even going back to the senior prank day, senior ditch day. So I think having a senior this year, it's been a little eye-opening for me, just to recognize what a big part alcohol plays in our community and especially for our students. And I think potentially I just wanted to explore a little more with our partners who are already doing a lot of prevention, where we could maybe dig in a little deeper. I think just from some experiences over the weekend with graduation parties, with obviously the big woodsy where kids ended up in the hospital. I feel like if that's the kind of situation our community is consistently finding itself in, where kids are consistently going to the hospital due to alcohol use, then we're definitely failing in how we're educating. And I think maybe not fully understanding the risks. So I think and the Healthy Kids Colorado survey data definitely shows this, which we'll have more in August. But in the past, our community has always had much higher rates of underage drinking than other communities. And I think also a very casual approach to underage drinking where kids will say things like, well, my parents don't care, it's fine. I mean, I know in multiple instances where parents are giving alcohol to kids and saying, have fun at the party, and things like that. And I think there's just been a big national movement, really. And I think kind of we learned from screens. Anxious Generation was written. We all read the book. We decided that wasn't good for our kids. We did the phone ban. And I feel like this is maybe something where we can make a broad step like that with education in our community of understanding the risks of substance abuse disorders, of how it affects their developing brains, and not even to mention just all the risk-taking behavior that happens as a result of drinking alcohol. And I just feel like we're just waiting, right, for that car accident that kills a kid, for that kid that drinks too much and doesn't make it to the hospital.
Tragedy.
Yeah, so it's just very kind of near and dear to me right now after just really kind of being blown away over these last few weeks of just how severe the underage drinking in our community is and at what young ages it's starting, which we know that increases their risk of dependence disorders like significantly. So yeah, I just feel like we need to do more. And that's kind of why I wanted to bring it to the agenda. And then David had a great idea of inviting all of you guys and
Yeah, a few more instances and then maybe just introduce everyone, make sure you guys, and then let you guys speak, because I think that's what we prefer. But
Right,
we also had 2 rollover accidents this year, alcohol related. No one ended up dead. We also had an 8th grade trip where people were able to steal very easily what they call buzz balls, right by the door of convenience stores. They're high alcohol, content that they're able to use. And then there's TikTok stuff that's pretty scary out there, the way they mix it. And so we had an incident there. I just think those are just a few of them. I'll just share this story and then open it up. I was teaching, I think years ago now. And I had a kid who was out of control. He was dealing drugs and down here and everything else. And we went through this whole process. And I was trying to connect with this kid because he clearly had a lot of other stuff going on with the drugs. That was just part of the story. And finally, after exposing everything else, he's like, why didn't you just say no? I said, you were never going to listen to me. And he gave the best response ever. He said, yeah, but that's your job, was to say no, even if I wasn't going to listen. And I've never forgotten the conversation. Because it was the right, like, he taught me that day from a kid of, you have a role in this. Your role is to put up a boundary. Even if my role as the teenager is to push the boundary, like good parenting, our job is to put that boundary in place. So that's kind of where I'm coming at it. And maybe we start over here, and if you haven't had a chance, and Roz had a chance to introduce yourself, or who you might be here for, in that sense.
Hi, thanks for having us. My name is Lori Kelly. I'm the Family Youth Initiative.
Hello, I'm Jill Lewis, and I am CCYA, which stands for the, Chaffey County Youth Alliance, and then add on 3 more C's, Community Collaboration Coordinator. So that's why I tend to get like, well, where am I at? Yeah. So I help run the coalition. I facilitate the coalition that helps create the ideas of how we can move forward to help kids be healthy.
Hey everyone, I'm David Graham. I'm the Youth Program Coordinator at Family and Youth Initiatives. I took over from Dibby Olson when she retired a couple of years ago. I like to throw that name around like candy because it's got a good will attached to it. But
Right. Absolutely.
other than that, I implement 2 programs focused on substance use for teenagers ages 14 to 19. One is called Project Towards No Drug Abuse, and one's called Moral Recreation Therapy.
What was that last one? Moral.
Moral Therapy, MRT.
Okay.
Aubrey Tamietti, Youth Health and Wellness Coordinator for Chaffey County Public Health. This is a new position that we built this year, so still trying to figure out what we're doing with it, but we saw the need for this area and to work alongside FYI and what the school district is doing. Yeah, so excited to be here and help out with this issue.
Hi, everyone. I'm Emily Anderson. I'm the Deputy Director of Chief County Public Health. The parent with a vested interest in this topic. That's really what
Jesse, you want to introduce yourself and maybe take the conversation next level and share some more? Do you have anything on the topic? Because you have any,
It impacts you and, well, and our middle schools,
I
but
know you're passionate about this.
Yeah, I'm incredibly passionate about this, speaking as a principal and as a parent. And speaking as a guy that's been in high school all his life, right? And, seeing the tragic effects firsthand on, students over the years and losing students over the years and alcohol-related car accidents and alcohol events. I feel like it's a ticking time bomb right now, as Mandy said. And I think the large concern is, just the feeling among the community that this is okay to have.
Adults.
Drink,
the adults.
right? And, the woodsy that happened a couple weeks ago. It's been pretty enlightening for me as a parent also. Because, you experience firsthand how the kids are feeling about it, right? And, a lot of the kids know it's a poor decision to go to the woodsy. But it's like a rite of passage in an event where they feel incredible pressure to go to that,
Okay.
right? Because it's like an established thing that has been unfortunately embraced by the community. So it puts parents in a difficult situation where you know, their kid has to go to these events and you have to say no because it's a poor choice, right? But then the kiddo feels alienated, right? And I think it's a community conversation, where we need to get folks on board with understanding that this shouldn't be accepted and this is not okay. Right, and, and I think a lot of the community members lack understanding of how unsafe these events are and don't really have an understanding of what goes on at these events.
I'd also like to point out that these kids are taking photos. And then all the kids who have made the decision not to go are seeing those
Yes.
photos. Some of them are showing them to their parents, and their parents are probably horrified by that. And the internet's forever, so it's combining the alcohol, those decisions, and the phone use.
Well, yeah, and then
You know.
there's the other issue too of, it's different now than it used to be with a party, right? It's back in the day when we didn't have social media, parties didn't get enormous,
Oh,
right? And this woodsy was in Arkansas Valley. of-
Yeah, I mean, there were tons and tons of BB kids.
There were BB kids there and Salida kids, and I imagine Cotopaxi kids, right?
So it's just gigantic.
Do you feel, I don't know anything about it, can you just give a little summary?
Yeah, there
I'm
were,
getting little pieces, but
there were 200 kids there, is what, the police estimated. It was up one of the Forest Service roads, I think, I believe Greens Creek, up that road towards the trailhead on, the Saturday after graduation. And it's one of those things that happens every year, the Saturday after graduation. Last year, there was a woodsy the Saturday after graduation. I think the year before.
My kids had them, yeah, right after graduation.
So what happened on Saturday? There was a kid that had too much to drink. Friends were concerned about him. Called for help. Police showed up, the ambulance showed up. And there was another kid out too that was sick from alcohol, drinking too much. This isn't the first time that that's happened in recent history, with our kids at Woodsy's going to the hospital.
There's multiple
So-
Woodsies a year.
Yeah.
Not just.
Always
So-
after prom and homecoming too.
So, I applaud, some of the parents have created events after some of our big events, like after prom is a huge success where kids have an alternative to go to someplace that's unsafe. They can go to someplace fun and have a good time. And that's what a lot of our kids want to do. They feel like pressure to go to a woodsy when there's nothing else to do. Right? After Winterfest this year, we had a bingo event and the Elks Lodge, or was it the American Legion?
Elks, okay.
Downtown, which was huge.
Okay, so
Successful. But you can't have those every weekend either, right? So I think that's part of it. CCYA and ETC, they've created events that are safe events for kids to go to also. Where I think they need more support in getting kids on board and going to those events. But, one of the things that I think we need to really talk about is how we engage the community and educate the community towards these things are unsafe. And how do we create events or a culture to do safe things at night as opposed to these unsupervised parties?
So maybe for public health, Youth Alliance and FYI, can you explain some of the things that you do? So there is the prevention side, but also maybe if somebody has gotten in trouble, maybe with the law. It used to be Towards No Drugs, a new program now, but teach us a little bit about what you guys do, if you don't mind, just go down. If you guys don't mind from the learning perspective.
No, because I think we need to know what's available before we know where we can build.
How we can partner.
Yeah. So I can go ahead. So this is, you are the first people seeing this document. So there's a lot of information that you will find here. So we have our coalition, which is Katy County Youth Alliance. And in that, we have the overall coalition where we have vested partners from both Salida as well as BV throughout the county. We are still working on growing that. So that's one of those aspects that has really come on. I came on board August 5th of 2025. So we had to really look at all of these different things and do a litmus test of what's working and what is not. And so as we look at this, we also have a total of 5 work groups. In those 5 different work groups, that is where the coalition members break up into different areas that they find fascinating, find interested, that really meets the types of things that they do in their own work. And so if you're looking at early initiation of use, so that particular work group, we have laid out a 5-year plan where we're looking at parent and caregiver education. That could look like, we have not landed exactly on what that's going to look like, but that parent caregiver education is like a data, not a walk, but kind of a data roadshow is what we're mulling over of what that could look like. Again, we don't have the specifics because we just came to that. We've only met 2 months in our work groups. We're also looking at identifying retailer practices and youth access. We are thinking about policy. We do not know what policies are on the books to really understand. Do we have policies that aren't necessarily being followed? So if we talk about buzzballs, for example, we have to also look at a whole bunch of things because every single gas station or place that sells any type of liquor, we have to look at that and see what are their contracts with their suppliers, for example. So they have contracts with each individual one. So it's really, policy takes a long time, and we have to really dig into what does policy mean? What does it say? What are policies on the books that maybe aren't being followed yet? So here's an example. We know that kids should not be in between, I think it's the ages of, I think it's up to 18. Students aren't supposed to be out at past midnight. That's a curfew that's on the books. And are we
For
following
our
that?
town.
You know, so those are types of things that I think parents need to be educated on, that they may not know. And being from a small town and being in that small town, everybody kind of knows everybody and they're like, oh, that's that kid, right? Who's driving by, I know who they are. So types of things like that, I think needs to be put out there in terms of some of that education. We're also looking at mentoring and peer leadership. We already have 2 really strong programs, Youth in Action, which has mentors in middle school to preschoolers to really start to build those relationships and belonging aspects, which is something that both school districts do. And then also our adult to youth mentoring program. Conversations have been had to explore what it would look like to have maybe peer-to-peer in each individual schools. Again, that's an idea that's been tossed out as an idea. We have not explored it with our partners at all yet. And then also summer camps where we're looking at transitioning and what does transition really mean when they go from that elementary to middle school and then middle school to high school, and really identifying the areas of substances, whether it is alcohol, and I know that's a piece of this that we're talking about. And when we're thinking of the data and what the data is telling us, we're also looking at vaping. Vaping is running rampant and it has grown tremendously, and I can talk a little bit about data from our perspective as well. When we're looking at youth voice rising, and this really speaks to what Jesse was talking about in terms of we need more support to get more voices within for our youth to really talk and have a seat at the table. So for example, maybe it's pulling up that seat next to Karen and saying, we want you at the table because we know that all the policies or all the things that we do here as a board affect students. We want that for our community as well. That means we need access to kids. And in a small town, as we all know, all of our students are involved in 5, 6, 7 different activities, right, after school. So how do we build that? And so we're exploring those different ideas with our team councils. We do plan and host substance-free events. We were really excited about this. One of the last events that we had roughly about 100 students who came to the field, and it was our impaired driving event where we did use trikes and goggles and brought together students who really had a great time, and they didn't want to go home, and we had to kind of move them off. That was from 7, I think, was 6 to 9, I think it was 6 o'clock to 9 o'clock. So that was a piece that we had, and then we just recently had an event at Mount Princeton Hot Springs that had a good portion, that had roughly around 30 students from Salida, or 40 students from Salida. So getting that marketing piece out is really, really important. The biggest part there is we want to bring youth voice to the table. It's nothing without it, or take it. Nothing
about us without it.
There we go. I can never remember that second. So that's a big piece that we need to have that voice heard and there at the table. We're also looking at our social norms campaign. And as we looked at our data that we received, we are continuing the Listen Longer campaign, which is talking to youth. How do you talk to youth? Where you sit back and you listen more. You might have heard it on the radio. We've also incorporated podcasts into things. And then also we are going to look at how can we attack vaping, and then alcohol the second on our list in terms of that. Then we have community pro-social opportunities. And so this is also an area that really would identify how can we help for students, or how can we help youth find things differently to do. that are more of the healthier risk. We want our youth at this age, at high schools, to take risks, and it has to be healthy, because that's not where, like, they're gonna learn if they're taking some kind of risk, but again, what does that risk look like that's going to make sure that they stay healthy? So we are doing some asset management, and what we're looking at is we're looking at all communities, BV, Salida, as well as Concha, and looking at where are our assets within our entire county. That's a large project to do, and so we had banked out 3 months to really focus in on that, and we are now moving into the next sector of what is safe and what is unsafe in terms of people, buildings, different types of business.
Annual events or businesses too. Okay,
Events is on there as well.
okay.
So that way we have that background data of where we can say, this is where we can use. Do we need something that's designated specifically and only for youth? Or is it a way that we need to use the other things that we already have in place and create different types of processes or different types of things where we can use those different places? And then we have our sustainability work group, and really that's looking at how are we going to create social movement, which could also go right back to some of the culture aspects that we are been talking about in the last few minutes.
And so you have staff, Jesse, myself, Jessica Bennett, we are on those different committees. We
And we
participate
so
pretty high.
appreciate you all being there. Very much so.
Is the city involved in this at all? Like, you know, you're talking about big events.
Count.
Tabark is based around alcohol, the beer festival, the wine festival. I mean, I like some of those, but, right, I mean, a lot of our festivals, that's what it's all based around. So is the city involved in any, I mean, I know we can't just cancel them, or that's not expected or even wanted, but for future maybe events.
So a couple things that we are really working very hard on doing is bringing people into the fold that need to be at the table. The city is one of those places that we definitely need to have. We need the mayors, possibly council members as well, on this, on these work groups, because they're also the decision makers for many of these things. And so we are trying to recruit. We've been working toward who needs to be at that table. And within that, it's the events. What does that look like? What does that mean? How do we do that? Because we also have to look at bringing in our business owners.
Right.
Because tourism is one of those places with rural resorts that we are having that tourism, if we don't bring the business owners along with us, we're gonna hit roadblock after roadblock after roadblock. This is their livelihood. I'm not saying alcohol is their livelihood, and it is a big portion. Then I also think about some other organizations who, when they sell the alcohol, that goes right back into scholarships for our kids. So it's this,
Yep.
it's this balance we have to really think about and work with and bring people along so that our kids are taking the healthy risks and not alcohol choices, not vaping choices. So I realize I'm a school board member and everything, but are we doing anything? I mean, in an ideal world, our high schoolers and especially our seniors wouldn't drink at all. But let's be realistic. They're probably gonna drink. And when they get to college, they're probably definitely gonna drink. So are we doing anything to teach them responsible drinking? Like, if you're gonna drink, have a limit, don't drive, drink in a responsible place. I mean, like I said, in an ideal world, they would never drink. But we could also do things to make them safer when they do make that choice to drink. Kind of like how to say sex, like they're gonna have sex, so let's make them safe when they have sex. I realize this might not be a popular opinion, but I do feel like teaching them some responsibility might be good too.
Well, that's like the harm reduction approach. That's how I've heard that. Like,
Yes,
phrased.
like if they're not getting in a car, that's
Yeah.
a win, right?
So.
Right, no, this is the good-
Speaking from experience.
Yeah.
Principal, right?
Yeah,
you often hear, you often hear parents say, I'm supplying kids with a safe place to drink, right? And I'm gonna take their keys and they're gonna stay here tonight.
Yes.
Doesn't make it safe. Their frontal lobes are not developed, right? And, poor decisions are still made where kids sneak out of the house with an extra set of keys. There's sexual assaults that go on at parties like that because kids are inebriated and making poor decisions. They're not adults. There's a reason the drinking age is 21. Reason the drinking age is 21 is their brains are not developed and can't make, along with adults, don't make good decisions under the influence of substances. I've seen horrible things happen throughout the years with parents that have supported responsible drinking.
Yeah.
I feel like the lines get very blurry when we're telling kids it's okay under the age of 21 to drink. No, it's illegal.
And I thought the data indicated, we've discussed this, that if you do tell your kids it's okay, or you can do it in this situation, that they are then statistically speaking more likely to have an alcohol abuse problem later. I know it's not my area of expertise.
definitely-
by any stretch.
That's definitely what the data shows.
I get what you're saying, Tiffany,
Mhm.
right? Where like, yeah, there's always gonna be kids that break the rules, right? But I think them having one message from a community of, no, this is not okay. You're under 21, it's illegal and it's unsafe for you, should be the message. Right?
Yes.
And
Tell them
how do you get
when they
everybody on
drink.
board in, a place like Salida where I'm floating down the river and having a beer on this
Right.
Sunday afternoon, right?
And half the parks inebriated
Yeah.
every Thursday, Friday and Saturday night all summer.
Yeah,
Anxious Generation was so impactful nationwide, right?
right.
Is there a book
Well, and so
that's similar to that?
So that was one other thing, like I reached out to Samantha and Deb with the book club, because, I think the Anxious Generation, when Public Health and Book Club sponsored that together, was really impactful, and it was something that parents really got on board, and they all came, and we really had zero resistance implementing the cell phone ban. I had one parent that was against it out of our entire district. So I think this is a little bit different because parents feel so casual towards alcohol. But Samantha and Deb are definitely interested in doing some sort of community book club, I think in partnership with Public Health, right? Maybe.
Yeah.
And then also there was talk with David of bringing in sort of book club for staff and youth. Because I feel like also our educators maybe need to have a little bit better understanding of the impacts of alcohol use. And just how closely their students are watching them too. So, I mean, I obviously staff can do what they want on their own time, but we do live in a small community. And I think it's pretty clear when you watch some of the kids who are really struggling, the examples they're getting are people who are heavily drinking and just an example of this is fine. So, I mean, I definitely appreciate what you're saying. And the other thing that I've kind of not struggled with, but that I've told my kids is, at what point did Dad and I look at the law and decide which laws it's okay for you to break? On a very fundamental level, this is illegal. And we would never tell you that it's okay to go steal something. But parents would tell you it's okay to drink, even though that's also illegal. So I think it's against the law as a fundamental, even if we don't address any of the other significant risk and safety issues, which I think are huge, it's against the law.
And Mandy, it goes, I had the conversation with my daughter last night about graduated driver license rules. Right, where the first 6 months, you were not allowed to have someone under 21 in your car that's not a family member. Is that rule followed?
That rule's definitely not followed.
It's not.
You're right.
It's not
Hard.
It is
And my daughter was super mad at me when I told her we were gonna follow it, but that's the law,
Yeah.
right?
And it's a fight, it is an argument. Every single time they get into the car or they're down at the parkway. Every time.
Is it included in health curriculum? I imagine?
It is included in health curriculum, all the preventative pieces there. We have relationships. I know public health. Was there anything you guys wanted to share? I appreciate you guys coming.
This
In the
area
curriculum, David.
is, Substance use is not an area we've spent any time and really leaning on our partners at FYI. Aubrey's position is new. We do want to start thinking about public health's role in adolescent health. We've spent a lot of time focusing on infants and children. I think the anxious generation and technology really showed us like, yeah, the time we need to focus on our adolescents. We're really wanting to be partners, whether that's in book clubs or, you know, going much further than that. I think it's really important. And yeah, just speaking to that harm reduction, you know, we teach harm reduction to adults who use substances, and minors are, it's different than teaching to adults. And so I appreciate that we had to say that.
Well, David, I was gonna ask you, because it used to be guiding good, T&D towards no drugs and guiding good choices. And now you guys have a different curriculum. Can you explain a little bit what those are
I'm
and
glad that you mentioned guiding good choices. I don't think a lot of people know about this.
were they bad choices? Did they have bad taste? No.
No, it's actually a very underutilized program that FYI offers for parents of kids aged 9 to 14. Specific focus is exactly what we're talking about right here. This is more of a prevention program, though. We're trying to get out in front of the substance use, right? We're also trying to help parents sort of coach their kids a little bit. How do I say no to substances and still keep my friends? We sort of scaffold practicing in a safe environment. What does saying no look like? We do behavioral rehearsals, things like that. So this is a program that FYI would be very much open to partnering and sort of exploring how do we get it into the hands of parents a little bit more reliably. I'll also talk a little bit about P&D, talking a little bit about harm reduction and
Towards no drugs,
specifically.
yeah.
What is it called?
Towards
Project
no,
towards no drug
Okay.
abuse is the curriculum. Program ends with youth making a commitment regarding their own substance use. And we practice a scenario involving, you're at a party, the friend that drove you to the party is now drunk. It's 1:30 in the morning. What do you do? Right? And so that really, I think, kind of gets at the heart of the woodsies and what it is we're trying to accomplish. So some of that is baked into the prevention programs that FYI offers. The rub is that a lot of times kids don't get put into those programs until after they've been caught, right? So we're not always doing prevention. A lot of times we're doing intervention, we're reacting. Dr. Blackburn asked us to bring data and statistics, so I want to share a couple of insights that I have gleaned. I've done Project T&D lessons with roughly 30 youth in Shady County, not just here in Salida, but UB as well. And during those lessons, I have kids take surveys towards the end of the program, and I ask them very pointed questions about their access to substances, their motivations for substance use. So just briefly, 5 little data points to share with you guys. So when I ask kids about access, participants reported to me, they're mainly getting it from a dealer, someone who specializes in procuring that substance and then selling it for markup. They're also getting it from older friends and older peers, older family members, right? We know that the buzzball incidents have a lot of high visibility. T&D data suggests that those are a subset of kids that are shoplifting and doing those types of behaviors. As far as the motivation for substance use, the one I probably see the most is issues with mental health or self-medicating, really using substances as a coping mechanism. It's really high up there. A close second would be family conflict and boredom as reasons why kids indicate they use substances. And peer pressure is somewhere kind of close behind and sort of a third place. As far as my T&D clients go that get referred to me, the average age is 16 years old. I would really like to see that trending the opposite direction, where most of these kids coming to me are 14, 15, early on in high school, just beginning that initial experimentation. The issue I see from my perspective is once kids get to be 16, 17, 18 years old, A lot of times substance use has become so ingrained in their routine and their peer culture, it's very difficult to break them of that. So just this 12-session break-in like this. When we talk about early initiation of substance use, I ask kids, what substances have you used in the past? What age were you when you first started using that substance? For alcohol, which I know is a big focus of why we're here today, the average age for T&D participants reporting that they began that was under 12 years old, so 11.9 years. As far as my T&D statistics go. That seems to largely jive with some of the state level surveys that we've done previously with life skills training. Sort of a close second would be vaping. Kids are saying that they start vaping around 12.3 years old. And then marijuana use is around 12.5 years old for the average, that is. And then lastly, I think looking a lot at how we're sort of putting kids into these programs can be kind of beneficial or something that we need to talk a little bit more about. Most of my T&D referrals for Salida kids are coming from Full Circle Restorative Justice, they're coming from the school district staff directly. So what I think that does is that sort of turns Full Circle Restorative Justice into the decision maker or the gatekeeper as far as who gets access to Project T&D. Whereas I would like to do potentially more informational sessions with Salida School District staff. What kid meets the criteria for this? What's the age group that we're considering? Let's get the program in the hands of counselors and people that are sort of trained to identify these issues instead of leaving it up to a kid getting caught and then giving them services afterwards. In other words, give us a chance to do prevention, right? Instead of just intervening in the situation.
Yeah.
Reactive manner.
Yeah, because one concern I have is, and I'm not sure of like the delicate way to say this, but even when you talk about peer-to-peer, I would say in many cases, the student you would pick as the peer to mentor is partying, right? And then the peer being mentored is like, well, this is baloney because you're on the honor roll or you're on student council or you're on whatever, but you're the partier, you know? So I think that is a tough one. And I worry that we think this is an issue for maybe an at-risk group of students, but it's not. It's like my kid or your kid, like it's
Like your NHS
kids,
kids are on there.
your
Yeah.
NHS kids, you know,
Everybody.
too. I'm not saying it's not everyone, but I think
But it doesn't discriminate.
it doesn't discriminate, and
That's
it's
very-
easy to sort of focus in on a group of students when it's easy to just pretend that this other group of students is not just as deeply involved, but just not getting caught or have parental approval. And
There were kids at the scholarship night drunk.
yeah, and it's hard because look, adults are just very defensive about this issue. They're not going to stop drinking. They're not going to stop drinking in front of their kids. They're not going to tell their kids it's wrong. I don't know how to fix that, but that's going to be something that we will come up against.
I do think though, I agree with you, like, I don't know how to change the drinking culture, but I do think there is a myth out there that offering your child alcohol in a safe environment is better than the alternative. I mean, even my husband will say things like that. So I do think there's an element of community education about the messages we're sending. And David, just like your story, I mean, that was like so powerful. And just say no to me, set your standard, at least for me, really clearly. So I don't know how to change the park and the bark and the drinking on every river trip. But can we at least make clear what the evidence says about what offering alcohol to your child really does?
Really?
I did, because that's what this is.
Yes.
Cool.
He said, sure. I was like, that's not good.
Sure. Go for it.
Aaron's got all the power. My daughter's been talking to me about this a lot, and so we moved from Denver, she went to school in Colville, right? And now she's living in Salida. She was at one party on her freshman year in high school that had alcohol. None of the other ones did. So when I think about like having a kid choose alcohol or not choose alcohol, that's the only choices like our town and our community is providing them. Like, are you choosing alcohol or are you not? That's it. Like, not, are you choosing alcohol or are you going to the movie theater? Are you choosing alcohol? Are you going to your free gym membership? Are you choosing alcohol or, you know, can you go to the pool for free? Like how is our community coming around these kids and providing them more options than just drinking or not? So, I don't know, it's close to my heart. We're OG Woods years, right?
You guys are.
I'm more
Between mine. Yeah, you are, Elizabeth.
in 2003, they also had a woods.
Yes, we had Woodsies too, and I don't think that culture is gonna change until we provide more opportunities.
Because there's nothing else to do.
Yeah, and it takes more than us building more things from the school district. It takes a whole community.
I'm gonna jump in.
Go ahead. Yeah.
Thank you for coming. We appreciate it. This is an odd thing because in some ways, we're all just preaching to the choir here. And yet I want to say thanks to my board who says we're going to lift this up and create a space for this conversation because by you doing that, it creates a conversation. So we would love help with our partners, which we partner forever, and we're going to keep on partnering. I'll show you just a couple data points. We do participate in Healthy Kids Colorado survey data because it's the only data point we can grab that would look into these key issues. Everyone would like to talk about active shooters and the scary situations as emergencies. The statistics are unequivocal. We are going to be a graveside with our adolescents because of alcohol or despair than we will ever be when we talk about active shooters and those horrific scenes. This is probably what will take your child from a parenting standpoint and probabilities. These are the data. We just got today the Healthy Kids Colorado survey data, or came in last night, so I don't have the update. We'll bring that in terms of state data, but I did have this just real quickly. The blue line is us. This would be percentage. I'm just going to look at high schoolers, not the middle school data point. So, right, percentage of high schoolers who drank the last 30 days, 1 out of 3 kids that are high school, right, which is higher than the norm if you're in Denver. If we look at the ever had a drink, you're talking about 60. So 2 out of every 3 kids has had a drink in high school. First drink prior to the age 13, which is what David was speaking of. We don't have as much data on that, but it is somewhat up. And then would be easy to get alcohol. This is the one that stood out to me. There's definitely something going on there. It'll be interesting to compare that to how the rest of the state is. Is it a cultural shift or is it a Salida thing that's happening? But I just want to make sure we name that. And I want to make one last thing. This is about parenting. It's not a school district problem. It's a parenting problem. And we all have a passion for our kids. So we're glad to host the conversation. It does not mean our schools are failing. It means let's get in there. And I think one of the, as somebody who's raised 4 kids in this valley, there's no parent shame. This is a hard thing. This is not like, oh, well, if your kid drank alcohol, you just don't know how to parent.
Well, when you look at the stats of 2 out of 3, like none of us are going to be immune to this problem.
Right.
I just want to make sure we name as we set it up. It's not because our schools are failing. And it's not because you're a horrible parent, because you're having this issue in your house and you're struggling with it. It means that we as adults, just like when we talk about phones, we have to rally and stand strong and help our kids say, no, there's a boundary here and we're going to hold that line. So I appreciate taking quite a bit of time here tonight. We'll keep on looking at that, but I think next year, anything we can do with partners, continue just to raise the level of concern. We were talking about sociology. That's our efforts and all the different pieces and parts. We'll do that with our kids, but trying to encourage our parents to say, you can say no. I mean, that's really the trick. So did you have one more comment? And I will move on.
So a couple things. We do have a consortium where we have rural resorts that are working together. So like-minded or like-minded communities where economy is built on tourism, not necessarily agriculture, unique housing needs, seasonal jobs, and drastic gap in economic disparities. So our data was just released of our rural resort community, which is the very first time that we've pulled that together in the different communities because we are very focused in what it looks like in a resort-like community. So those are conversations we can have at a later time in terms of what that looks like, should we want to do that. And then just wanted to put a plug in for ETC. ETC stands for the Extraordinary Teen Council. And what we are trying to do and what ETC does, and we are so grateful that we're allowed to come in during the advisory and lunch, where we have roughly right now about 7 students who come religiously every week to plan pro-social opportunities for their peers. It takes, it takes a lot. That's part of where our grant funding comes from. So we are working on that. And it takes roughly about 3.5% of the population, to move the trajectory. So you can move it one way where we can start changing those cultural norms. So we're looking at roughly at high school, we're looking about 15 students. So 15 students and how they think about alcohol, how they interact or don't interact with alcohol. If we can start moving that trajectory that way, we can start to change culture. It can also go the opposite way. So we want it to go, right now we're seeing the downside. We want it to start moving up. So just keep in mind those types of things. We are so grateful we're able to be in there during the school year, during a time where we can have students build those skill sets of leading their peers and developing opportunities where it is substance free.
Excellent. Okay, to wrap things up, I think there's two concrete things that I learned that we could maybe take some action on as partners. One is you could take some more referrals from our schools for your curriculum. Okay, so making sure that our principals know that both at the alternative middle school and the alternative high school as well. And the second one is maybe an idea of a community book as well. I don't know if there's one that's as solid for this idea as Anxious Generation is, but there's a couple of things that we can do, and we're just going to keep talking and make an impact. Okay, thank you guys very much for that.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay. Okay, we're gonna move on. These are usually the, yeah, you guys are excused. This is, now it's all wonky. I know you want to see the handwriting for it though.
It says it's really good for teens.
Thank you guys. I think all of you guys for Karen. Oh, we do. Oh, pardon me. Thank you. We are on 4B. Communication plan and perception analysis. Jen, do you want to lead on that, or do you want David to go?
David should start.
Okay. You got this out there. This is what we're doing. I think we're gonna keep doing it again. I've set up to do a fall survey, which would be that engagement survey by a third-party group. It's called New Measures. Just takes some money. It's gonna be about $9,000 to do that. But it surveys all people, in terms of all staff, all 250. We've gotten very good results. I'm excited to see a third year, just because then you start to see better trend lines that you can trust. As a leader though, I can't be happier because I know that we're not gonna make everyone happy, but we are seeing extremely high satisfaction engagement surveys from everything. We also have a TLCC, teaching and learning conditions, that's done by the state. It's controlled by the union or the association. It comes out every other year. So this analysis is two groups. And what we do is we invite a collaborative bargaining team, we invite the admin team, a few other people sit in the room. Jen's been with us last 2 times as a board member to listen. And we just sit down and say, hey, and Ross was there. Hey, what are the messages we want to amplify? And what are the messages we're like, we need to keep working on this perception. Now it is perception data. It's not facts. It's how people feel and look at things. But the reason why this is so important is if you don't have this, then the squeaky wheel gets to say what the culture is. And the reality is people like their jobs. They're happy. That does not mean everyone's happy in a great space. And if you're a board or an administrator, I don't deal with the happy people. 99% of my time is to deal with the people who aren't satisfied, who aren't finding what they need, whether that's a parent or in this case, staff. But the data is unequivocal. Our staff are in a good spot. That doesn't mean everyone's loving it, but that's kind of a good start. And I put this up here. It's a way for us to take all that data. The other piece I also always teach people in leadership is I will be glad to give you the high level data. And I'll be glad to sit down with you and give you all the data and understand it in depth. It's the middle ground where we lift things out of context to whatever our narrative is. So this is the high level data that staff have put together when they reviewed in detail all of the answers from all of the various groups, disaggregating it. And this is how they believed it kind of spoke to these issues. So Jen, you want to extend?
I think it's very exciting to see that our staff feels empowered to say something should change. They're heard, and then the change is implemented. That's huge. And, you know, I think I said this at the last meeting, but having the worst numbers be around salary is actually the best thing because A, we're fixing it. B, we live in a state that doesn't really have a high tax burden. So the funding of education is sort of beyond our control. So the fact that people can be happy in their jobs is a bigger deal to me because that's where we can really make a focus. And yeah,
It felt like a really good positive year this last time.
yeah, and going through the data was really exciting, right?
Did you say at all staff has access to the results? Or
Not
certain-
just-
certain staff?
So those groups, those leadership groups came and looked at all the disaggregated data and were able to look anywhere and everything. And then this report is for everyone, including all staff.
Okay.
Because I think if you dial the main report down to, if you filter it really aggressively, you're probably gonna be able to take a guess at who's responding to the question.
Yeah.
If you could do it by campus,
Right.
by work group, and you could figure that out, we don't know.
That's fine, make someone.
Right.
Yeah, I got you.
I was just trying to get at, I think, because Jody, it sounded like you were going there, but to see an 80% satisfaction number, if that's the right way to look at that.
Right.
You know, I think that says a lot about somebody who might hear the squeaky wheel and, you know, if you hear something a lot, you start to think, oh, is that the norm? So just making sure people can see that number and say, okay, you know, 8 out of 10 people think this is great.
Right.
But I think that's good. I don't think people need to see the detailed data, but
Gotcha.
that number's.
I think it's important because when you get into the produce aisle at Safeway, you're gonna hear the 1 out of 10, and it's very helpful to say, no, we survey our staff. We
Yeah.
ask that exact
Yep.
question. And I understand that that person's not happy. We would like to help that person's situation. But that does not
But
prove
that's
of
not
what
the
most people are
And now we
declaring.
officially as a district can work on amplifying that message, right? That's what the group sat down to say,
Yeah.
what messages do we get out
Well,
there?
it should help identify specific opportunities too, and they could be legitimate opportunities. I don't know. I mean, going through the data, you can try to feel that out. But I do think this is this is a worthwhile investment in terms of having a pulse on culture.
And because if you
track.
thought things were better, like more positive this year, so that's great, but it's just as important to know when it goes south, so you can slow down.
Yes.
So the reason I wanted to slow down is that as a board member, one, I think this is helpful to see this chart right here, which gives you time, change in salary investment at the certified level, as well as the classified level. Make sure you also note the district health, district para. When you talk about, 10, 11 to now, 14% for your pension, now it's 21%. Those are big investments of our community and our staff that they don't notice because unless you really study your paycheck, it's just not as easy to see. And so it's not as easy to know that how much support you give your staff and their pension and district health. That's why this year was a big break from the norm of you guys just stepping into that gap. And so a lot of good stuff here to know, and I think that's helpful for storytelling. And somebody asked about incongruent data. We just try and say, hey, here's where the data sets don't match, and try and be transparent
Between the two surveys.
between the two surveys in this case, trying to be honest. One of the things we saw last year, people wanted to see us improve at was our level, kind of district, superintendent board, central office. And we saw very positive gains in the areas that you guys are mostly controlled by or have relevance to. And then this would be section 4, recommended messages to amplify. So what are my talking points as a board member? These are your talking points. This is what the staff would want you to say in the produce aisle about their work. So I think it is important to do there. And we also have some tactics that then go to Kim's world of trying to continue to improve our communications. But some of the little things we did this year seem to have yielded people feeling better, just like a twice a month email. That seemed people really responded positive. That scratched that itch for many people. And so we'll do that again next year. You guys wrote more letters to the editor and that seemed to help. So we'll write some more letters to the editor next year and keep trying to amplify those things. So things to note for you. And one of the things I'm proud of, I'll just name, is this one. Staff trust and collaboration, collegiality. There was another significant increase. Our staff are in a good place. And there's a higher trust the closer you are to your peers, right? And the farther away you get, trust declines. We know that. But that is something that is unique about our district. And it goes back to that issue that I was reading about Anne coming from other places and districts and not having ever come into a place and experienced as an incoming leader. This. And so that's
Seen that.
something to celebrate that we could easily gloss over as we're grinding out what to get better at. Anything else, Jen, or any questions from board members? Okay, those are your talking points then, to amplify and things that we're gonna try and get better at.
Okay, good news.
Yes.
You want to help me? Do we need a break? That's what I was just gonna ask. Okay, so let's see, it's, let's take 7-minute break. Let's start again at 7:50. back live?
We are live, yeah.
We're going live. Okay. Thanks to everybody out there in YouTube land. 5A, I need,
No, 5A. Was there a second?
oh, no, we don't have any.
We can jump right to 5B.
May I have a motion to approve the handwriting curriculum?
So moved.
Thanks, Jen. Second. Way to go, Karen. Is there any discussion?
I mean, the slide was, it was just the recommendation that she gave last month, right?
Mm-hmm.
But do we have a price and are we concerned about the
Yeah, that
price?
should have been in there too.
I
Is
didn't,
it not?
it wasn't on the final
I
slide.
didn't see it. I think that's all I
Okay.
had to send along.
Yeah, I can get it to you. I should probably- I'll get it to you.
Do you need to vote though?
I mean, as long as you guys feel like it's not a cost prohibitive situation and you're fine with it.
No, the budget can manage it.
It's very important.
I actually did some research on handwriting grants. And then I talked with Jackie Webb because I saw her at Horizons graduation and she gave me some better option and do it in terms of literacy versus handwriting. And because early childhood literacy, there's a lot more private grants available. So I'm still looking. You know, we'll see maybe if it's for that. Savannah, what's the word when the expendable items? What is it? Consumables. Consumable.
Yes, disposables is what I call them.
Okay. All right. So there, that's still happening. It's not dead. That was Ben's area of interest to see if there was a grant. Any other areas of concerns? I believe we are ready to vote.
All right, Dr. Breckenridge Pettit,
Aye.
Mrs. Lundberg,
Aye.
Mrs. Pascal.
Aye.
Dr. Rhodes,
Aye.
Ms. Shookman.
Aye.
And Mr. Vaughn.
Aye.
It's really fair.
Okay, let's go to 5C, approve the county land MOU. That was tabled in May. They had a meeting today that thought that was really gonna happen. And then we got some feedback, but we don't know what it means. Just from individual citizens texting these three people, we don't know what it means. Can you say anything other than that?
No, let's get a motion to.
Um,
Table it again.
Okay, so we're gonna just table it until August.
We're looking for a motion to table it until.
I would like to make that motion.
Motion to table.
Second, please.
I'll second it.
Okay, any discussion?
I'll just let you know, we'll keep on. They did meet. Apparently there's some public conversation they had today. We're not quite sure. There might be some more next week. We're not sure.
I would just love to say if it were up to me, which it's not just up to me, I would love for people not to spend a lot of time or energy on this because I don't feel like it's a great use of some people's time or energy, just for what it's worth. Just throwing an opinion out.
I think it's gonna be. I think that's hot when this finally happens.
Where we were months ago.
Yep, right. So let's not spend any energy and encourage our
I
staff.
mean, do we have kind of a date when we're just like quitting tabling it and we're done? Or,
No, your elected officials have publicly promised again and again for 7 straight years that they're going to do this. So why would we do that?
Well, let's just keep it on
so
our.
we're just
agenda
gonna table
forever.
it every month?
I would say
I think maybe the August grind can be a
Make or break.
make or break. That's a better way of saying that. I was gonna
Yeah.
say.
That's an appropriate time to
Okay.
really.
And I think that your sentiment is,
Could put it back on, right, if it ever came to.
yeah, if we get an extraordinary number of kids growth and things are different, absolutely.
If the,
Always
if
propose,
the population of Colorado really takes off,
right.
In terms
And,
of.
right. Gen Z and
Yeah.
millennials have kids. Yeah.
Yes,
Okay,
they
so
vote on that.
let's take a vote.
Okay, this is vote to table to August, Dr. Breckenridge Pettit.
Aye.
Mrs. Lundberg. Mrs. Pascal.
Aye.
Dr. Rhodes.
Aye.
Ms. Shookman.
Aye.
And Mr. Vaughn.
Did Vaughn say, did Derek say something? I didn't.
you said
I just didn't hear, I just didn't hear.
I heard the aye.
Okay, I didn't hear it, so I was like,
Oh, I.
and you were looking down like this? Okay.
Him.
All right, 5D. We have a motion to authorize the superintendent to develop a long-term lease with ice rink for Chaffey County.
I'll make that motion.
Thank you. And second by Tiffany. And now we can have discussion. You can see that we have ice rink and Chaffey U as the next one, so it is both organizations. Any discussions, any areas of concern?
Does anyone who, I mean, I thought we had a great presentation today and we'll chat.
I would,
Minutes
I
about
just,
that?
I couldn't make that,
Fill in.
but ongoing maintenance and operating costs.
Yeah.
Whose responsibility?
Right.
I think that's part of what the lease or license for use would have to address. For like the structure, if we're talking about Shady County rink here, then that would be on them. That's what we'd write into that space. In terms of, I'm just gonna deal with them together because it's really hard in terms of CCU,
Mhm.
in terms of that grass field. We went back and forth over these years trying to say, oh, we'll split it. The soccer club will take care of it. And what we came down to was we charged them a little over $20,000 a year, and we assumed all maintenance of that space. That will be the backbone of the agreement. Either they're giving us money or they're putting money into it of the equivalent to make sure that we're trying to offset those costs as much as we possibly can. I think the other piece with the ice rink, which we just put in over the holidays or over winter, they put in all the electricity, their time and their time, and then they paid all of the electrical costs. They have a separate meter and are paying for all those pieces, which is not necessarily maintenance, but it is.
It's operating costs.
It says operating costs. Are we signing up the school district to offset and
Right.
put our dollars in the wrong place? The answer would be no. And there may be some cost, just like with any of our facilities, that we have to address, but the goal would be to mitigate those by giving them use.
I would, oh, sorry. I lost it today.
Well, I was just gonna say, kind of in a similar vein, I had asked David while we were over there, who was gonna assume the cost for the site plan development, because it's kind of a lot figuring out the electrical and where all the buildings go, and I think we're a little unclear on who.
Like that might be an
It's gonna
example
assume
where
that
it's our
cost.
land, it's our master plan. Okay, so we might have to pay costs to get our master plan put together in that sense, but I think we can mitigate this thing by working.
Well, that's one time upfront.
It's
Okay.
one time. But
Okay.
keeping grass is one of the most expensive maintenance things, even more so than electrical appliances. And that's just why I use that example, that space.
So they do pay.
That is lovely
Okay.
grass.
It is
Such a
lovely.
lovely grass. It's Salida.
It's the best grass in town. Exactly.
Go ahead, Derek, do we answer your
Mhm.
question?
You did, thank you. I had a couple more.
Okay.
Liability
Yes,
on them, not us.
correct. Mhm.
Okay.
The insurance, there's a clause in already in that draft, license use that has that issue and then
Okay.
what kind of insurance they have to carry.
So, okay, one other question.
Mhm.
This 20-year lease gives them the confidence to fundraise, gives
Correct.
them the ability to do that. They're going to make capital improvements to the land.
Yes,
What happens to those capital improvements at the end of the 20
we own
years? So it becomes,
school district property.
okay.
Yep.
Do they have an extension right or anything like that?
Not at this time. That might be something we'd have to negotiate when we get to that space. If right now in the drafts, early termination,
Mhm.
then we have to go through a process of determining how much is that value and trying to figure out how we might separate.
Yeah, I'm comfortable not giving them an extension because that's just extra. for
Yeah, I
them,
mean, at this
but-
point, I couldn't recommend anything beyond that because I think that's beyond the scope of a board's vision.
Mhm.
Yep.
So I think when that day comes, as it gets closer, another board, another community is gonna have to figure out what the next lifespan is of that agreement.
Okay, thank you. That
Mhm.
was, and just to make sure I heard the prior answer right. If we do charge anything in terms of like lease payments,
Mhm.
it's to match what the maintenance or the operating expense payments, would be. That'd be the intent of.
So right now, the
to
current
try to break even,
MOU
basically.
or lease with CCU, it goes up to 3% annual increase, started at $20,000. If they invest money in, say, the pump house or a piece of infrastructure, then we discussed that and discussed whether or not to take that off the bill. For instance, they were wanting to buy a shed and like, hey, can we apply that to our $20,000 rent? And I was like, well, I'm not sure I want to own that at the end, so I'm not sure if we're going to go through that.
Right.
And that's kind of the discussion that we have. It's been
Okay.
far more successful than every other iteration we tried in previous years in terms of maintenance costs and having a relationship where we can go through.
Thank you.
Yep.
thank you, Derek, because how you framed the questions to me and then just now to David was so much more clear and articulate than I could. So I learned from you just then. And same concerns. And I also wanted to let, I think you were the only one, yeah, that couldn't make it, the partnership between the ice rink team and the JPU team is really healthy. And they're working together and, you know, getting along as siblings, et cetera. So,
As is Guystone. They weren't there.
as is Guystone.
But they're
Thank you.
pretty much-
Thanks so much. Yeah, good sibling work, good interagency partnership.
And just David had pointed out that what we've asked them to do as a district, they've stepped up and done.
Mhm.
And I think this is an exciting opportunity for us to work with these partners to provide those opportunities we were just talking about, to be there for our community in a way that maybe is not traditional for a school district, right? But we have the property, we have the partnership to be able to make that impact. For me, on this community is huge.
Every Friday
And
night.
healthy.
Kids.
Yeah, I'm really grateful for these partners.
Could we partner with the movie theater?
Judy's son.
There actually is a really good program where it's a class in the high school and you run a movie theater. My hometown does it.
Yeah.
It's a tiny little town.
Put it on next year's list.
I can do it in my
Yeah.
backyard.
Do what?
I'll do it in my backyard.
Oh, okay.
The movie
The healthy, having a healthy gathering. All right, I think we can vote on
Juice
this.
boxes. Yes.
All right, so moved.
Dr. Breckenridge.
Aye.
Oh, we're already voting.
Mrs. Lundberg.
Aye.
Mrs. Pascal.
Aye.
Dr. Rhodes.
Aye.
Mr. Clayton. Aye. And Mr. Vaughn.
Aye.
Okay, now let's go ahead and go to E. That's this, may I have a motion to authorize the superintendent to develop a long-term lease with Chaffey County United?
So moved.
Way to go, Karen. Second.
Oh, wow, you really went for it.
I need a second?
Amended, okay. And, Okay, so
Have
any-
the same district protections that the other.
Same exact one. How the current draft sits. We need to finalize a master development plan and make sure all the partners are on the same page and can see the vision and that should allow us to start to do the capital fundraising.
Do any of these require a modification of the Guidestone lease that would require their
It
consent?
could be depending where we put the ice rink and they've already spoke to them and they're already comfortable with the concept and everything else. So those pre-conversations have happened, but yes, we would have to adjust their lot line. I don't know if that's the right term, but
and then
concept.
Then I only have a question for these two. It's kind of a facility thing, so you guys will work, you guys, being Karen, David, on the third wheel, on that and work, arm wrestle those things, get them going and then present to us. Is that our way ahead? Is that the way we do it?
I will come back and present them to you, but if you say yes, you don't have to like do anything, but you know, I'm gonna keep coming back and saying, here's the plan.
I tweak and pop.
Update you guys on everything and I'll work through Karen and make sure that we don't drop that ball.
Okay. I think it's time to vote.
Can I just have one thing?
Go ahead.
Sorry. If it would change and I would need money because like infrastructure as an example, that would be shared by all partners that might own, that might be something pop up. It could be, but we have to come back and talk to the board and that would be us coming back because I do not feel like you've given me permission to spend any money on this. Right, I just want to name that if that would change because we can do a better thing for our community, I will have to come back and speak to you in the fall.
No, I think
Thank you
it's
for that.
great.
Thanks for the clarification.
Yeah, if we don't need this in the next 20 years, then why not make the best use of it possible? And as long as we're making sure we protect the district, then it's fantastic. Thank you, David, for your work on this.
Awesome, we ready?
So,
Dr.
Aye.
Breckenridge. Mrs. Lumber.
Aye.
Mrs. Pascal.
Aye.
Dr. Rhodes.
Aye.
Ms. Strickland.
Aye.
And Mr. Vaughn.
Can I say one thing? Thank you. That's community leadership.
Yeah.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. There are two gentlemen I just want to name. One has been Oswald. For 16 years, we had to fight to get those fields out there. And because they're there, they're the best place we have in our community. And now John Fritz is on year 15 of trying to get ice rinks. It takes that time, a long person who takes decades
doesn't give up, yeah,
of persistence. So thank you. And I think those are the kind of people we want to be partners with.
for sure.
He came to a recent board meeting and his efforts have paid off.
Works.
He's also a coach for CCU.
Yeah, the Venn diagram is, of all these people, is.
He's very involved in
It's good they get along then.
Yeah, isn't it? Isn't it? Yeah, okay. let's go to 5F. May I have a motion to approve the 26-27 budget?
So
Thanks, Mandy. Jen, thank you for the
I
second.
heard Jen second. I whispered them.
Is there any discussion about this?
You're like the second today.
Aaron,
Aaron, do you want to say anything about the budget?
No, so the budget, I didn't see anything updated this month. The budget didn't change from last month, so there was nothing new. I guess the only place I cleaned it up a little bit is in the grants. We're continuing to get exact dollar amounts for
New.
grants as they come in,
Yeah.
but nothing affected the general fund, so nothing in any of the other funds changed. So there wasn't really any adjustments made. So I guess since we're doing the next three, basically, for those of you who haven't done it,
Yep.
I mean, the budget resolution 2025-26-05. That's just you're appropriating all the funds, which means you're taking the revenues and the starting fund balance in the budget and saying that's how much you have in each account that you can spend. That's what your appropriation is. So you approve that every year with the budget. If you're going to spend more than you're bringing in revenues and general funds and you're going into the starting fund balance, then you have to do a resolution to spend into that fund balance. We do that a lot because we're typically just over 100% budget. So it's very normal. And you give a reason to the state on why it's happening, and then that's that. But
Okay.
nothing changed from last month, so I didn't do much updating, but happy to answer any further questions.
I just have to say to the Open Nuts team, having a strategic plan is sure helpful because it shows what we have to do to get to our goals. So sure is easier than it was 4 or 5 years ago. Yeah, yeah. I mean, look how smooth this is going. Crazy. Is everybody ready for a vote?
well, and I feel like, I mean, we talked about the staff raises last month, but those are really going into this budget.
Yeah.
Can you share any of those numbers that you were asking? How many people got this much?
Oh, that is the great time.
I mean, are we
whose
able
comment
to?
was that?
Don't know.
I can't
I
remember.
think it's Ben's.
Oh, and Ben, oh, it is because he's the finance guy and he's not here. Aaron, correct, just go ahead and take over Ben's comment of how many people got a 10,000% raise or, not 10,000%.
No. No one got a 10,000.
The only people got a 10,000% raise are you guys.
Yeah, we got that. Please.
10,000.
Sorry
You
about
raised
that.
your 0 to 10,000%.
No, yeah.
If you don't mind, I gave those to Ben and he's not here today.
Yeah, I mean, it ended up being, I think it was 30, just over 30 people that received over $7,500 raise next year, which is significant. I mean, considering we're topping out at like 8,000, that's, that's well over 10% on just those. There were, I don't remember the exact number now. It was in the,
It was in an email.
well, I'm sorry, thank you. It was,
No, you're good.
I thought somebody else had it, so I left it out of my brain.
Yeah,
No,
Ben
that's
did,
one
it was
good.
me, and I wasn't tracking it.
Yeah,
Thank you for the
It
reminder.
was in the 10 to 15 range that received over $10,000 raises through that.
That's life-changing.
It's like,
Life-changing.
yeah, and then combined with the insurance, I mean, we talked about it, I guess, in the work session. I mean, not everything went great with the insurance. I think some people who think it's good, some people who think it's bad. But there were many people that we sat with and through various, like you mentioned earlier.
Creativity.
Creativity, sat with them and we were able to figure out, oh, actually, this family member qualifies for this insurance or for this, and there were multiple people who I would say there's at least another 15 to 20 people who are saving $700 to $800 a month next year on their healthcare, on top of the rate.
You could be both of those people.
And so there's going to be some people that are seeing complete life changing by our insurance.
Okay. And you have the exact number? Can you have that?
So the email just had, I think what Aaron just said was the 30 plus teachers who will get a raise of 7,500 or more. And I know we had another data point, but it's not searched.
Okay.
See for that now.
Okay,
Yeah.
so excellent. All right, thanks for bringing that up, Mandy. And it is a good news thing. Okay, any other questions or concerns? We have to do each of these budget things one at a time. I think we can vote.
I think we can do it. Dr. Breckenridge Pettit.
Aye.
Who's here? Mrs. Lumber.
Aye.
Mrs. Pascal.
Aye.
Dr. Rhodes.
Aye.
Ms. Strickland.
Aye.
And Mr. Vaughn.
Excellent. 5G, approve the 26-27 budget resolution, 2025-26-05. May I have a motion for that?
I'll move that.
Thanks, Tiffany. Second?
Second.
Thanks, Mandy. Any discussion? We did them all together, so we can vote.
Dr. Breckenridge Pettit.
Aye.
Mrs. Lumber.
Aye.
Mrs. Haskell.
Aye.
Dr. Rhodes. Aye. Ms. Schiffman. And Mr. Vaughn.
And this is our, 5H is our third and last budget one. May I have a motion to approve the resolution to authorize the early use? This just helps us use the money for next year for summer programs when, it's not programs, but repairs and maintenance. Our kids are gone. Motion,
Yes.
Tiffany,
Second.
Karen, discussion?
All right. Dr. Breckenridge Pettit.
Aye.
Mrs. Lumber. Aye. Mrs. Haskell.
Aye.
Dr. Rhodes.
Aye.
Ms. Schiffman. And Mr. Vaughn.
All right, we can move to number 6. Okay, right, you can rest, way to go, Idaho. 6A is policy book, and let me tell you that David is making Mandy and me look really good because all that policy work he did by himself. We were going to work on the handbook as a trio, but David has a different idea, which I really like, and it's modeling what Boulder Valley School District does. And it's, instead of having a handbook, it's on our website with all of our other policies. Give us some more. How are you gonna do it?
I think it's just the part that Kim always worries about and I worry about is if we make it in 2 or 3 different places, then we make a change over here.
You remember?
They just don't communicate. So how do we always make sure it's right in one place and then link back to that? We really like to have Boulder Valley. I think they're key. The thing with PowerPoint, we just had a good table of contents that made it easier for parents who were searching for policies about their kids on a topical basis, which is different than going to our policy book, which is 50,000 pages long, and trying to navigate that. You'll just really look at student code of conduct, focus on those issues of, you know, what is the behaviors expectations for my kid, and just focusing on the spaces and places. And so I think we can get that done this summer, at least in the draft form. And then it'll make it easier for our principals to just have some of the things that are beyond that is all they need to address versus each of them trying to address it. Student code of conduct, which is how it happens right now, which is kind of is not a strong legal place because it's one of the main reasons we had to publish it. In case we have a kid who is not acting within those expectations, we got to hold them accountable. We got to make sure that those are clearly and consistently posted. So I think that'll be easy to do in that sense. Take some time, a couple days, but I think we can do it if we can find the time.
Good job, Mandy.
Yeah, you too.
Okay,
The other piece is, Kim and I did sit down. We believe now we've gotten through the policy audit. Next year, we will set up a cycle to go through policies kind of month by month. We'll see how that pattern works for next year, so that it's a regularly occurring thing and hopefully a very sustainable way.
Yeah, and it'll just go in that board monitoring document that you guys see during agenda review that just helps keep everything.
I mean, that's what BOCES does.
Instead of-
Right, like every month you have the.
yeah,
So much at one time.
Correct.
Good
We've got it up to speed,
Good
to
idea.
keep it
Yeah.
organized, so it doesn't turn back into the family jump through.
Right, exactly. Okay, so that's my report for that. DAC is the executive, district advisory council, and David has some ideas. We're meeting on my porch tomorrow to arm wrestle with several things, and that's it, and how it's percolating up to have the communication committee, have members, and then the business folks. So I'll have more to report in the fall. C, finance, Ben and Derek.
I will just say this is my fault. I did nothing this month on the.
On this.
Yeah. So, but I mean, if Derek and Ben, if Ben's looking at you now like we did nothing, that's because we did, I gave him
Okay.
nothing. In fact, Derek asked me how the model was going, and I stared blankly at him like, this is the first time I've worn a suit coat.
Even-
since
it's even
last June. And he talked
costume.
about that, and he's like, I don't know.
He was looking good tonight.
Yeah. But I am working on the model. But we'll be revisiting that at July and August.
And it's also worth noting that there doesn't have to be an update every month from any of these subjects.
And I didn't mean to step on your toes, but I didn't want you to feel like you were fine.
But I do, let the records know that the president is acknowledging the sport code. Okay. All right, 5D, facilities, Karen.
I'm gonna defer to David because I was a slacker this month.
I think we've just done, I think the key things, we just did major
Yeah.
things, we tabled one thing. We should close on Spartan Heights, that's working, and should close here in the next 2 weeks, everything's still rolling forward.
Okay.
So that's another $1.2 million in revenue to offset any risks that you might be taking. as we continue to be in a good financial position. We're working with Karen, in the fall to kind of develop a new vision. I think we've taken this vision to its logical conclusion. It's time for the next look ahead, 5-10 years, and understanding the demographics and where our towns are all settled into. And so I'm excited about that.
Hey, very well done for both of you. You're not a slacker.
This month I was, absolutely.
Okay. Okay. Slacker report. Okay, but right, but there is some movement. We don't know what the answer will be, but we're gonna arm wrestle that out at the grind with regard to the county, and do we just give up and die? Okay.
Yeah.
All right, 6E, DAC Communications, Jen.
Ditto, Erin. May was just really busy and I've been traveling, so I haven't done.
Right, and we have those the draft communication strategic plan, which I kind of thought was pretty great, but I had maybe a little thing. Was that you?
Well, no, it's joint, I mean, it's.
Yeah, but you know.
Is that just an email?
Yeah, I sent it out, and I kind of like last week, I said, here's all the different plans.
Yeah.
So you could get kind of ready for there was a video about it.
It got a little bit tricky this month because there was so many things that actually didn't land in the board packet that were just in emails, because it was stuff like that. And I think I actually did miss a couple of things. And then the emails like tag on once questions are asked, and then, so I don't know if there's a better
No,
way
I
we can
think
do
what
that.
happens is that's the first week that students are gone, that David gets cranking on him, and he hits overdrive. I think that's what happened. I don't
Because
think
I
there's gonna
flagged
be
it
a pattern.
things and was, yeah, but I mean, I definitely think.
And then there were a couple of things, again, as David got.
We're all on our heels.
Like, that were specific to this meeting, and then like, there's a whole bunch that you guys have already been shared
Right.
that really go to the August grind and August meeting, like.
Yeah, most of these videos trying to say was just looking forward to August, making sure you're prepped, not so much about.
I mean, I did
So
like
that,
that was
yeah.
quite like.
And then today we
acknowledging
had,
it.
yeah.
So I did see a lot of them, and then, but I just feel like the community, because maybe you responded and then I think it gets buried.
I
Try to be
okay.
better about making sure it's,
Well,
yeah.
right, and I think for F, G, and H,
Not much that like trickled in there that, yeah.
Okay.
so comms, tech, wellness, and activities, those are teed up for the fall. And read through them. If you have any concerns, come prepared to arm wrestle those in the August grind, or as we deal with them in the fall.
There are endless articles right now about tech in schools, and it's been really fun to read them because it now feels like what the phone conversation was last year has now shifted to tech and AI, but also like just
Right, just
laptops for
free
lower
for-
grades. So it's kind of exciting, I think, to read all that.
I agree, and just to have things set up for the fall, it'd be really helpful just to have, even if it's really high level, like an overview of how technology is used in each of the schools.
Yeah, could we meet with someone?
I don't know the best way to
Right.
get that information.
Right, so what's
but-
your way, like
Someone
a
could talk to
simple,
us,
like.
they could be like, in first grade tech class, we do. I mean, I would love to hear basics like that if possible.
Or in
Yeah.
first grade tech class or in first grade science, we have to have iPads because our curriculum's on iPads.
Yeah,
like
yeah.
That kind of stuff.
Personally, I'm open to whatever, I mean, David, you probably have some sort of sense what the easiest way to communicate this,
Give me a chance.
Yeah.
but
Bless you.
I don't want to say it in public that Savannah's gonna be really excited to work on that.
I have the cohort of teachers that I think you could talk to get an idea of what everyone is doing would be my
Okay.
team lead teachers. And so I can, we're getting together for new teacher orientation. If we want to block out a time after that, where you guys came in and talked with them, we can do
I
that.
mean, if you guys think it's appropriate, that would be helpful for
Yeah.
us.
It's 10 teachers.
We'll see what we can do. We'll call it an audit of screen usage audit, tech usage audit across the grades.
I don't want anybody to feel defensive about it.
Yeah.
And it's just, I think,
Exploring.
but if we're going to be looking at how we use technology, we need to understand how we're using technology.
Sounds
So,
like a great idea.
So you guys are both willing to do that.
Well,
Thank you.
and it is mandatory, right? Because like the whole middle school science curriculum is online. So we couldn't come in with a tech plan that said middle schoolers won't have any access to Chromebooks because they would not be able to do science.
Some of the supplementary math stuff is.
Yeah, so it's certainly a very important thing that
Yes.
we must know before
It
we
is.
make a
You also
crazy
have-
tech plan.
You also have to know where you are before you can.
Yes.
Where you're
And
going.
it's hard to
Yeah, very
balance
much
too
be-
much without knowing what is already required.
Seems like a reasonable ask. We'll work on it this summer.
Okay,
And I think you'll also get a temperature for how staff, teachers, and admin feel about maybe.
That would be wonderful to have as well.
We could develop a survey, maybe even. Like a
Um,
teacher.
Yeah, we might
Or-
go that direction on the perception piece.
Mhm.
I think we'll try and get that audit and then we'll try and do the strategies and what's what we're gonna bring to the grind in the fall. We know that's a high priority conversation, so we'll try and bring some ideas about how to tackle it. Not necessarily tackle, but how we're going to approach it.
but, right, just a little more understanding so that we're not just winged it.
Here's our tactics of effort for the upcoming years, what we'll be presenting.
Thanks for that, guys. Let's see. 6G is DAC Wellness and SEL, David and Tiffany.
Yeah, so, I mean, David sent out the email, really. Jessica Bennett did the white paper, which was
Mhm.
great. And, yeah, so,
I really valued the idea that, you know, in terms of wellness for students, so there's not a mass casualty event, but having the counselors and the curriculum is really where we should be putting our people's parents.
great.
That was a really useful, simple white paper.
yes,
And then the screen time
yes.
philosophy that the counselors and wellness team kind of offered to the board to consider when it's on for the summer.
Did they appreciate-
It's on the SEL kind of framework page. You can.
Oh, I know where it is. Okay,
Which ties into the tech team also.
right.
Definition, you've used that term a few times tonight.
SEL,
No, white paper?
sure. Can I just show you? I don't want to take too much time, but I think it's worth your time over the summer.
Lead counselors, SSPs. It's just a page and a half, wasn't it? It was just really clear.
You're just calling a page and a half white paper.
No.
It's like a
we-
position.
last-
Yeah. That's
There we go.
Yeah, and it's in our packet, I'm on it tomorrow.
No, but it would just be, if you go to menu on our main district page,
Uh-huh.
Well, patience.
they don't have to do this.
Friday night, 7 o'clock, make sure you don't miss that.
Ballerina. There it is.
That'll go in a second.
Over, this isn't working.
Just like, don't touch it. and I-
All right, anyways,
Go to the main page.
And
SEL framework. I think you should be familiar with this in these position papers.
Yes.
There was 2 new ones recommended for you to consider for next year.
Okay, so white paper.
And it's
No, I just.
authoritative, in-depth informational document designed to educate readers, outline a specific problem, and present a solution.
Wait, which two are the ones you're saying? right now?
Definition of white
Screen
paper.
time and school violence.
Got it, thank you.
yeah,
I needed to look it up too, so I thought I'd share.
okay.
See, that's what I'm saying, we email like.
Well, I'm over.
And I think it's because we have, like, there's so much.
No.
Not fair.
So I will say on the wellness, I'm excited. I feel like all the hard work's been done. It is a massive lift. It's taken years. I think I can just sit down and write the draft. So when you guys show up in the fall, I can be like, here's draft 1. So I'm really actually excited to sit down and grind that out.
And it's worth noting that I didn't bring any candy to this meeting. I just want some credit for that. Okay, no, I'm trying to chin up, Jody. Okay. 6H, activities with Mandy. Let us know if there's anything that has changed and when Ryan arrives.
I mean, Ryan starts July 1st. We did send out a message to everybody saying he's coming. Sports registration's already open. We had kind of, like, one conversation that's kind of gonna be teeing up is looking at the fees for sports. Thinking that those probably need to increase, but haven't increased them because we haven't been able to do thorough analysis as to what they should
Right.
increase.
Right, so that, and our goal is to maybe have those new fees in by January 2027, if it's not too fast for.
And I think another thing that's kind of exciting is, Paul, the new football coach, is also doing strength and conditioning, so he's been doing every morning.
Okay.
He does everything
For all.
4 days a week for all athletes. And then there's also like the Arc Valley Volleyball Club has started like a sprint jump training for the girls in the evenings. And I think some of the girls are gonna start going to that, like some of the other sports girls potentially. So the kids are getting some opportunities.
In the summer, in
Summer
non-drinking
training's
activities.
in full swing for
And
everybody.
we do have our physical night is on the calendar for August 3rd. So since we don't have a meeting between now and then, just an awareness that that is scheduled and
And a great kind of policy of putting these things in play.
Yeah, and I got an
Organization.
email asking to sign up as a provider.
That's
It's
really
working.
Somebody, so somebody's working on that.
Someone's on it.
Who's doing?
It was from.
No, Becky Capozza is on.
Oh, Becky.
we've got.
I can't remember, it wasn't from her.
Because we're kind of in a weird flux time where we are between athletic directors, so.
And assistance for that.
Yeah, so long as someone is doing it, that's.
I'm actually impressed somebody's doing it.
Okay.
Let's move forward.
Okay, excellent. Thank you.
Tiffany
Nurse
or both.
Capozza. 6I is BOCES. Anything to update Tiffany?
Yeah, so we had our last meeting in the May, or mid-May, I mean, BOCES is doing great, they, just shared some results that last year they had, a higher graduation rate and a lower dropout rate with their, clients, we'll call them students. And they went up on, math and reading scores. 91% that left with an IEP enrolled in higher education or, were actively employed.
Whoa.
So that's a really great statistic. Yeah.
And that's probably a direct result of the change to having specific coordinators in each.
Yeah,
I really like
Yes.
the approach. That approach is working really well. Hopefully they're not changing, your guys aren't changing that?
Yes, no, it's
No.
not being changed, and their staff survey thought that the specific coordinators were
Was the
very
better
helpful.
approach.
That was one of their things.
Findings.
They wanted more curriculum support. And they needed more behavioral support needs, so that's two of the things that they're focusing on for next year.
So going to, what do you mean by that? Like going to like the Salida School District and saying, like a
No, just
TE
like
or-
education, so more professional development on behavioral support and also more curriculum, like.
accommodation?
Yes.
Okay. Okay. All right.
And they're moving into their new building on the 9th, so that's today. Yeah, today.
Here.
By Avery Parsons. And all their caseloads were within state norms. And they have new professional development plans, so,
Excellent.
yeah, so they're doing really well.
Right. And that's a great update and.
Yeah, an impressive organization, I think.
9%. Wow.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome. Okay, thank you for that. All right, we have future business. So, remember in July, we do not have board meeting. And so August 11th is the next board meeting. Does anybody want to do a little agenda review with me?
Again.
You want to, Karen?
Sure.
Thank you. Good. And then, Mandy and David and I worked on, retreat/grind, and I'd like you to look at your calendars. It's July 24th or July 25th for everyone. We have several board members and you going to new student orientations, etc. So what, can anybody say, oh, can you please have it on this day
Or not on this.
or not on this day?
I can say yes to both days, Sunday.
I'm good.
You good?
Either.
I mean, I prefer
Prefer-
the Friday.
Oh, it's
Okay. Derek, how about you?
I think I can do that Friday.
Right, but does Ben, so you work on Friday. Tiffany, do you work on Friday?
Yeah.
But Derek does. That's the only thing. So that's an important consideration. But Ben's closed clinic and you have closed clinic? Okay.
If this is far enough advance, I can just try to take that day out.
So we're gonna say Friday.
Is that okay? Do you want to take a day out for a board meeting?
I would love to take a day off work.
It's really
It's not, it's It's the grind.
It's a spa, as the name would indicate.
We put a big.
We all
poster
get
board on the door.
massages.
Says
Yeah.
District.
Betty's, yeah. Okay, so let's try the 24th.
Okay.
Let's do the 24th. If that doesn't work for you, could you give us an update pretty quickly, Derek?
Yes.
Okay, I want
I
to
can
make sure
do
that
that
we
this week.
acknowledge that. Okay. All right, so let's do, so there you go.
I've got an exhibit, we're waiting for Derek's availability, but then that should be good. And I'll reach out to
Okay, and then future topics for meetings. You can always come with me with ideas. We've got a lot of ideas. Kim has a running grind, topic, agenda topic items. You know, anybody here can, good idea, Fairy. Okay, and then we can kind of work on those priorities. Anything, and if you have something in August, you know, bring it up in July. Okay?
And we all know that there's no July meeting.
I know you're gonna miss it, but we're so organized that we don't have to have that.
So what are the hours for the grind?
8 to 4.
Yeah,
It's actually like 8 till 6.
yeah.
It's
So just prepare.
Here.
Depends on
What's
where.
the price we've got
All
now?
day is the
So we try to be
Red
red by
teams.
4.
And where is it?
Here.
Right here.
In
This room?
area.
Yeah.
Print
Mount Princeton, I mean,
I was just trying to figure out how pedicures were happening.
So whenever people say like, oh, you're wasting our money having a retreat, you can remind them that it's in this room and we get lunch.
We've talked about other things, but it's just.
But sometimes Evelyn gets us food in the morning, right?
We'll take care of you with food.
it's already worried. Okay. All right, I'm gonna go around, Savannah, Aaron, David, any inputs from staff?
It was a great year. It was not a simple year, but it was a great year.
Amen. Anything else to close out? Roz, you can just blow through Robert's rules if you have anything to say. Coming back?
Oh, yeah. I just want to say, y'all do amazing work. Thank you for what y'all do. I'm so grateful to sit here and I stay the whole time because I learned so much and thank you very much.
Thank you.
Good to have you.
Yeah, thank you, because
Thank
you've been at every, I've been on the board for only a couple months, but you've been at every meeting. And it's nice to see other people's citizens.
Yourselves. All right, may I have a motion of adjournment?
Move to adjourn.
Mandy,
At 8:30.
8:32, not bad, guys. Hold on, I have it.